Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Man in Marvel, Thank You Supreme Doomsday. Chapter 1, Shield. Nick Fury looked at the information in his hand with a shocked expression. He said to Agent Coulson next to him, "Are you sure this guy is the Mr. Jin Bing said? Or is he such a young man?" "Yes, Director. I didn't believe it at first. I thought there was a problem with the intelligence. But as we continued to investigate, we found that the gentleman Jin and looked at was very likely to be that scary guy." Nick Fury's face darkened even more. Without any hesitation, Nick Fury said immediately, "Notify the Black Widow and let her go to investigate in person. Once you find out that he is the guy who has been active in the world for the past 3 years, notify me immediately." "Yes, Chief." At the same time, the Queen, Midtown High School. Su Yi sat in the corner of the classroom. It has been 3 years since he came to the Marvel Universe. When Su Yi first knew that he had traveled to the Marvel world, Su Yi was in despair. As a time traveler, he knew very well what would happen in the future. Even if he is still alive, he may completely disappear from the world under the snap of Thanos' fingers. Fortunately, just when Su Yi was completely desperate, he awakened the ability of Supreme Doomsday. Let him have the power to destroy the world, the jumping ability like flying, the infinite physical energy that will never feel tired, and the super fast healing and regeneration ability. Even in the battle, according to the opponent's ability, it can continue to evolve and restrain the opponent, to adapt to all environments and opponents. After being killed, they can be resurrected and have evolved corresponding countermeasures. In other words, there is no way for anyone to kill themselves in the same way. Thinking of this, the corners of Su Yi's mouth rose slightly, and he looked through the window at the playground. A gleam of confidence flashed in his eyes. Therefore, he used such power back then, leaving countless legends in the whole world. Even Jin Bing, who almost controls the entire underground force, has become his younger worker. It's just that even Iron Man doesn't show up now. Su Yi, who was really bored, picked up his book again, came to the campus, and squandered his time. After all, the teacher's lecture sound is simply the best way to hypnotize. Ha! Su Yi yawned, and stood the book in front of him. Putting his arms on the table, resting his head on it, he closed his eyes. But at this moment, someone beside him pushed Su Yi. Su Yi raised his eyes and looked to the side. Before Su Yi could speak, he heard Peter Parker next to him, lowering his voice, and said to Su Yi, "Su Yi, do you know? Yesterday the playboy Tony Stark was attacked by terrorists while he was testing his latest research results. Now the entire network is saying that Tony Stark must die." After Su Yi heard the words of Peter Parker next to him, a light flashed in his eyes. But immediately after, Su Yi became sleepy again. There is no way, the current Tony Stark is too weak. If you want to fight with the current Iron Man, it's better to torture Magneto for fun. After all, Magneto has been abused by himself so many times, and his strength should have become stronger. "Okay, Peter Parker, I'm going to bed, so don't bother me anymore." As he spoke, Su Yi yawned, fell asleep in the last row of the classroom. Seeing the scene in front of him, the instructor didn't say much. He has gotten used to it these days. And just when Su Yi closed his eyes, an electronic sound suddenly sounded in his mind. "Ding, would you like to join the dimensional chat group? Agree, refuse." Looking at these two buttons, Su Yi, who was lying on the table, suddenly opened his eyes. The abyss-like terrifying momentum swept towards the surroundings with Su Yi as the center. In an instant, everyone in the entire teaching building had the illusion of falling into an ice cellar. Among them, Natasha, the Black Widow, who just stepped into the teaching building, felt the most vividly. She shivered subconsciously, and a look of fear flashed in her eyes. As an agent, she is most familiar with this kind of momentum. That is the murderous aura that can only be honed in constant fighting. And the strong murderous aura made him feel so clearly. For a moment, Natasha's heart sank to the bottom. Could it be that the boy in the data is really that scary guy? Taking a deep breath, Natasha tried her best to calm down the turmoil in her heart. Then he stepped forward and walked towards Su Yi's classroom. At this time, Su Yi, the chief culprit, was lying on the table, and the energy in his body was constantly running secretly. "Check your body to see if there is anything unusual." But immediately after, Su-yi thought very suspiciously. I have the ability of the Supreme Doomsday, and even the magic resistance has no defects, so it is impossible for someone to invade my mind. So what is going on here? With such a question in mind, Su-yi said slowly in his mind, agreed. And following Su-yi's words fell. In his mind, electronic sounds sounded again. Ding, congratulations on joining the group chat. Until this time, Su-yi suddenly realized. As a time traveler, before he crossed into the Marvel world, I have read many chat group novels. I didn't expect that I would also encounter chat groups. Su-yi's mood became much better. I don't know how many big bosses there are. From Su-yi's point of view, the stronger these bosses, the better, and it's best to kill him a few times. In this way, he can become stronger at a faster speed. After all, I have the ability of Supreme Doomsday. And Su-yi's motto is, what kills him will make him stronger. But thinking about it carefully, it has been 3 full years since I came to the Marvel world. This chat group just came to invite me, isn't this speed a bit slow? Holding an extremely expectant mood, Su-yi tried his best to calm down his excited mood. I keep praying in my heart that there is a super powerful boss in the chat group. Before Su-yi had a good look, how many bosses there are here. One after another chat messages appeared before Su-yi's eyes. Whitebeard, Gu la 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 la, welcome newcomers, I am the Emperor of the Sea. Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors. Yuki Asuna, newcomers are welcome to join the chat group, I am the poorest in this group. CC, newcomer, don't listen to her, she is the richest in this group, a proper rich kid. Seeing these people's welcome, Su-yi's heart of anticipation was gradually shattered. In this chat group, besides myself who just joined, there are only 3 people. An old man with a white beard, a young lady like Yuki Asuna, and an immortal witch. Glancing at the 3 members, Su-yi lay down on the table and sighed. Perhaps sensing something, Su-yi raised his head and looked towards the door. I saw Natasha wearing a uniform, with a shawl and blonde hair, coming to the class. Seeing Natasha's arrival, the corners of Su-yi's mouth rose slightly. Perhaps what is happening now may be more interesting. Thinking of this, Su-yi said in the chat group, thank you for the invitation. You are in Marvel, even Supreme Doomsday. Yuki Asuna, Supreme Destruction Day. What a domineering name, what is your job title? Yuki Asuna, would you like an explanation for the newcomer? CC, with the word supreme, it should be very powerful. CC, no matter which world you are in, being able to bring supreme is definitely not to be underestimated. Whitebeard, Gu la 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 la. Just from what you said, I really want to have a good fight with this guy right now. Yuki Asuna, don't make trouble, you are the strongest existence in the group. Yuki Asuna, newcomer, please don't agree. Whitebeard is the guy who ate the fruit of Junjun. He can break the space with his hands. CC, actually, I'm looking forward to it, the rookie and Whitebeard will fight. Quote. The group was chatting enthusiastically. After Su-yi sent a sentence, he immediately disappeared. In the classroom, Natasha was wearing a uniform, and under the gaze of many students, she came to the podium. At this time, the teacher on the podium froze for a moment. He looked at the beauty in front of him, and couldn't help asking softly, "Hi, may I ask you?" Natasha smiled slightly, winking, because the school lacks teachers, the principal specially hired me to take over this class. From today onwards, I will teach all the courses. Just at this time, the teacher's mobile phone also received a text message. After confirming that it was correct, the teacher gave Natasha a strange look, and then left the classroom. All students are at the moment when the teacher leaves. Suddenly became excited. Beautiful big sister, are you really a teacher? Wow, you are too beautiful. If you are my teacher in the future, I will definitely study hard. The students around were extremely excited after seeing Natasha. Only Su-yi looked at the woman in front of him with interest. He was not bewitched by Natasha's beauty. The guy in front of him is a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. The mind is all about the task. I just don't know if her mission this time is related to her. But it doesn't matter if it matters or not. Now he is just an ordinary schoolboy. At most, there is some money at home. Just like that, Su-yi remained silent, watching Natasha in front of him until get out of class was over. As a senior agent, Natasha has her own plans in mind. Naturally, she would not contact Suyi directly. Instead, they will use what their classmates have learned about Suyi over the past few days to construct a personality structure, and then approach him carefully after analysis. This is why Natasha can complete the task every time. And the person Natasha was looking for this time was Peter Parker next to Suyi. "What do you call your classmates?" Natasha said to Peter Parker with a friendly smile. Peter Parker, a little boy, has a shy rosy face. Peter Parker. "Peter, I think you are very energetic in class, you listened so carefully just now." "It's mainly because of your humor, teacher." After a wave of business exchanges, Natasha went straight to the point. "It's just classmate Peter. I see that the classmate next to you seems to have no spirit. Do you know the reason?" Peter Parker scratched his head. Although he said bad things about others behind his back, Natasha in front of him is a teacher, so there should be no problem. Thinking of this, Peter Parker said, "As far as Suyi is concerned, he transferred to the school recently, but during class, he is basically sleeping. Apart from me, there are basically not many people in the class who follow him. He had contact." "Oh, so you know him well. So what do you think of others?" "He's a nice guy. Although he likes to sleep, I've seen him feeding stray dogs on the side of the road before. He should be a very caring person." After hearing Peter Parker's words, Natasha was a little confused. According to the information given to her by S.H.I.E.L.D., Suyi is the terrifying person who has been active all over the world for the past 3 years, constantly challenging the strong. There is even a record of completely evaporating a vast ocean in the aftermath of the battle. But it was such a person who would feed the stray dogs. This made Natasha feel a little unbelievable. Drip. Suyi's cell phone rang. This is the special mobile phone that Jin Bing prepared for him. Even S.H.I.E.L.D. has no way to detect it. But the cost is extremely expensive. It will only be used when it belongs to Jin and contacts Suyi. Picking up the phone, Suyi turned to Jin and said, "Did something happen?" "Mr. Su, Daredevil destroyed the branch I set up. It even caused the ground to collapse and spread to the nearby shopping mall. My wife and children were among them, so I want Mr. Su to save them. Please, they really mean a lot to me." Don't look at Jin as the underground emperor, but he, who has been walking in the dark all year round, cherishes his family very much. That's why Jin Bing would call Suyi at this time. His wife and children are in danger at the moment. Even Jin Bin was very flustered. After hearing Jin Bing's words, Suyi said, "Just this time, you also know that if there is no powerful existence, I usually don't bother to do anything. It's Mr. Su, there will never be a next time. In that case, send me the address." After hanging up the phone, Jin immediately asked someone to send the address to Suyi. After Suyi received Jin Bing's address, he yawned. In the next second, his figure disappeared in place. The terrifying speed reached a sonic boom in an instant. The ground cracked instantly. As for Suyi's figure, it has completely disappeared. Accompanied by a deafening sound, Suyi rushed towards the spot. At the same time, Suyi found the recording function of the chat group. Just enough to be used as a pretense. Thinking of this, Suyi's mood subconsciously improved a little. 1 point faster. In the blink of an eye, Suyi came to the address that Jin had sent him. This is the Central Mall of Queens. On weekdays, there are huge crowds of people and heavy traffic. But now, there are only ruins. There is even a raging fire raging in it. If left alone, the survivors in the ruins will probably be left alone. Without much hesitation, Suyi suddenly fell from the sky. Scoff. The ground, which was already unbearable, surged up to the sky the moment Suyi fell. Countless boulders that collapsed were lifted to a high place by Suyi. His eyes fixed on the figure of the survivor, and Suyi's figure flickered again. Brush. A series of blurred afterimages were reflected in the eyes of the surrounding rescuers. They looked at all this in shock. What is happening? What a terrifying speed. Could it be that this is a mutant? Who knows? The most important thing is that he is saving people now. 3 seconds. 3,072 people. No matter whether he was alive or not, or he was seriously injured and died, Suyi put them on the ground next to him. Just when the boulder fell from the sky due to lack of kinetic energy, Suyi came to the lowest point in the center. He looked up at the sky, and the huge boulder fell down. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Slowly stretched out his palm, and slapped it towards the boulder in front of him. Energy instantly condensed in Suyi's palm. Boom! The azure blue energy light, with Suyi's palm as the center, rushes towards the space ahead. The majestic abyss-like energy expanded to a kilometer in the blink of an eye. Then shroud all boulders. This is the ability that Suyi awakened when he challenged the Mandarin of the Ten Commandments gang. As the light dissipated, all the boulders turned into powder. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. After Suyi finished recording the scene just now, he sent the scene just now to the chat group. For a while, the chat group was completely blown up. Ding! Suyi released a 10-second video. CC. Hey, did the newcomer post a video? Yuki Asuna. Curious about what the newcomer's world looks like. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la, let me see what kind of video this newcomer has posted. Following the reminder of the chat group friends came out to bubble up one after another. Ding, Whitebeard has received the video. Ding, Asuna Yuki has received the video. Ding, CC has accepted the video. After 10 seconds passed, the video finished playing, and the entire chat group exploded. Yuki Asuna. Is this something that humans can do? Yuki Asuna. This is simply incredible. You can't be a god. CC. 66,666, he's a boss. Just watching the video, I'm afraid he's stronger than Whitebeard. Whitebeard. A 10-second video. Completed the location move, save the people, and destroy the boulder. Whitebeard. If this kind of comprehensive ability is placed in my world, it is better than a proper general. It is even possible to reach the same 4 emperors as me. Yuki Asuna. Siwang. This is too exaggerated. Is the newcomer this time so good? Yuki Asuna. Tell me who you are, please introduce yourself. CC. Yeah, Missy, you don't have a secret heart, do you have a crush on Suyi? Yuki Asuna. Shy. JPG, what kind of secret promise, and you, a witch, don't just, what if people misunderstand me? Suyi. Don't worry, I won't misunderstand you. After all, you are a rich lady. Then CC is an immortal witch, and you, Whitebeard, are one of the 4 emperors. After a pause, Suyi then said, I know everything about you. For a moment, the members of the group were stunned. Yuki Asuna. What does this mean? Whitebeard. I'm also curious about what Suyi's words mean. CC. Oh, is it possible that you know our world? Suyi. It seems that you don't believe it. If so, let me start with the Whitebeard. Suyi. Whitebeard, you were a member of the Rocks Pirates more than 30 years ago. Whitebeard. Shocked. JPG. Suyi. Asuna Yuki, have you released a civilian terminal called Nerve Gear? Yuki Asuna. Not yet, but the pre-sale has already started, you know this too. Following Suyi's words, the members of the chat group were completely shocked. At this time, CC asked Suyi, what about me? Do you know my world? Suyi. I know, not only do I know your world, I also know you very well, I know that you have lived for a long time, and you even want to die now, right? CC. Suyi. Actually, it doesn't matter at all, because I can't die either, the kind that can be resurrected after death. CC. Oh, that means you and I are the same kind of people. Suyi. No, I'm just a slightly better ordinary person. Ordinary people. The members of the chat group all had a question mark in their minds. Who would believe that a guy who could complete the location transfer, save the people, and destroy the boulder in 10 seconds said he was an ordinary person? However, at this moment, Suyi ran away after pretending to be B, and had already withdrawn from the chat group. Although they chatted happily in the chat group, in reality, only a moment passed. The figure disappeared again. It was as if Suyi had never appeared before. Only a lot of stunned people were left behind. In S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury is studying Suyi's information. Suyi's information can be said to be flawless. He was abandoned since he was a child and lives in an orphanage. After growing up, he wrote his first book by going to an internet cafe through a part-time job. In an instant, the internet exploded, raking in hundreds of billions of dollars. Is the mysterious author of the world's best-selling book, A Song of Ice and Fire. These were all investigated by S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just, that makes Nick Fury feel weird. As an orphan, where did Suyi learn such strong writing skills? Just when Nick Fury became suspicious, what happened in the mall reached Nick Fury's ears through Coulson. Azure blue light beam. That's right, that guy must have appeared again. Although I don't know why this guy rescued people this time, this is definitely an opportunity not to be missed. Nick Fury made a decisive decision and directly asked Natasha to go to Suyi's residence. According to the past few days, we have investigated Suyi's habits. The first thing he does after school is to return to his residence. You go and check immediately. Yes. In the teaching building, Natasha immediately walked out of the teaching building after receiving Nick Fury's order. Drive to Suyi's residence. Suyi's residence is located in the most luxurious villa area in Queens District. It is a gorgeously decorated detached villa. After Natasha drove to the villa area, she skillfully found the blind spot of surveillance. Sneaked into the side of Suyi's villa, observing the movements in the villa. Director, Suyi didn't go home. Through a special communication device, Nick Fury got a message from Natasha. According to the comparison of the previous few days, it stands to reason that Suyi should have arrived home by now. Now that he hasn't arrived home, it means that the suspicion on Suyi has increased. And at this moment, Natasha's voice came again. Director, Suyi has already returned to the villa. He didn't take a car today, but came back by bicycle. Bike. No wonder you came back so late today. However, Nick Fury's intuition told him that something was still wrong. Bang! Nick Fury slapped the desk heavily. Coulson next to him trembled in fright. He had never heard of Nick Fury being so anxious. I only heard Nick Fury gritted his teeth and said, Suyi, you must not let me find out the flaw, otherwise, I will definitely not forgive you. Thinking of the mysterious man in the black robe, he suddenly found him and snatched his pager away. Let Nick Fury want to cry without tears. You must know that it is your biggest trump card, and it is a must-have item for summoning Captain Marvel. This is why Nick Fury is so angry. At this time, Suyi glanced at the grass not far from the villa, and walked into his own villa. At this moment, the voice of the chat group sounded in his mind. Ding! Hinata joined the chat group. Ding! The number of members in the chat group has reached 5, and the chat group leader is being drawn. Ding! The chat group leader's extraction result is. Following the notification from the chat group, it sounded in Suyi's mind. Suyi immediately thought of Hinata's appearance. This is a girl who is extremely soft and cute, but has an extremely tough heart. It has to be said that the existence of the chat group made Suyi's somewhat boring life more interesting. Suyi. Hello, Hinata, this is a dimensional chat group, not some illusion, we are all people from different worlds, please give me your advice in the future. Yuki Asuna. Welcome newcomers, don't worry, we are not bad people, bad laugh, JPG. CC. Welcome new kid. Whitebeard. GU la 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 la, I'm having a banquet here. Just a glass of wine, my sons won't let me drink it. Whitebeard. I think in order to celebrate the arrival of newcomers, we must drink a few more glasses. Yuki Asuna. Old man with a white beard, you just want to drink a few more glasses. I remember you said that you have a lot of hidden injuries on your body, so don't be greedy. Whitebeard. GU la 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 la, my body is still strong. Even the general of the navy will definitely not be my opponent. Hinata stood where she was, blinking her eyes. Looking at the members in the chat group, the way you talk to each other, I feel a little scared in my heart. Hinata. Isn't this really an illusion? Are you really people from other worlds? Suyi. Don't worry, Hinata, this is not an illusion. As long as we are in this group, we are a family. No matter what happens, you can seek our help. CC. Looks like you know the world over at Hinata. Suyi. I understand a little bit. Modest. JPG. Yuki Asuna. Then tell me what the newcomer's world looks like. I'm very curious. Suyi. Hinata, let me ask first, have you passed the Chunin exam? Hinata. No. It can be seen that Hinata is a little shy. So Suyi accepted it as well, and just said, Hinata, do you know a guy named Uzumaki Naruto? Hinata. Listen, I've heard of it, but I haven't touched it. Suyi. That's good, Hinata, you must remember my words, that yellow-haired guy, you must stay away after you meet him. He is a dangerous person. CC, how do I get the feeling that you're doing private work? It's just that, as CC's voice fell, the notification tone sounded again in the chat group. Ding, the number of members in the chat group has reached 5, and the chat group leader is being drawn. The sudden notification sound in the chat group made all the members stunned for a moment. CC, draw the group leader. That means it's random. Yuki Asuna, maybe there will be privileges. I don't know what privileges there will be. I'm looking forward to it. Hinata, although I don't know what's going on, but I feel amazing. Whitebeard, Gu the group leader is indeed worth looking forward to. And just when everyone was chatting here, the position of group leader has been selected. Ding, the chat group leader's extraction result is Suyi. CC, so you, a newcomer who has only been here for a few days, have suddenly become the leader of the group. Asuna Yuki, I'm so envious, I also want to be the group leader. Lemon, JPG. Hinata, what is the group leader? Can it be eaten? Whitebeard, Gu I didn't expect it to be Suyi. Shocked, JPG. Yuki Asuna, wow, old man with a white beard, you can actually post emojis. Whitebeard, what's so difficult about this, isn't it just an expression pack? Whitebeard, show muscle, JPG. Whitebeard, I'm the most handsome, JPG. Whitebeard, haha laughing, JPG. CC, I've learned a lot, I didn't expect you to be such a white beard. Different from other members. At this time, Suyi used a lot of information here. Ding, congratulations on becoming the chat group leader. Ding, as the group leader, you have the following functions. 1. Shuttle world. As the group leader, you can set up a shuttle passage, and you can travel through the world with the consent of the shuttled members. Note, shuttle between members also requires the consent of the group leader. 2. Kicking function. As the group leader, the right is supreme, and you can kick people at will. 3. Call for help function. As a group leader, it is natural to assume the responsibility of the group leader. Once a group member is in danger, the group leader will be reminded, and rewards can be obtained after the member is rescued. Ding, the current level of the chat group. 1. After the number of people reaches 7, it can be upgraded to level 2. At that time, other functions can be opened. Looking at the information in the chat group, Suyi didn't hide anything, and directly told the other members about the information. Yuki Asuna, wow, does this count as being greatly protected by the group leader? CC, that is to say, in my long life in the future, I can travel to different worlds. Whitebeard, Gu it's a good idea. In this way, I can have more sons in other worlds. Yuki Asuna, I'm sure, the old man with the white beard is still the same old man with the white beard, nothing has changed. Suyi, at all members, welcome to my world to play. My world has countless parallel universes, where magic and technology coexist. There is a purple potato essence that can wipe out half of the life in the universe with a snap of your fingers. There are also various bugs. Yuki Asuna, purple sweet potato essence. Can I eat it after it's cooked? Whitebeard, Suyi, then group owner, what kind of existence do you belong to in your world? Seeing this question from Whitebeard, all the members looked forward to it. After all, there is a call for help function in chat groups nowadays. The stronger the group leader, the more benefits it will have for them. And at this time, Suyi replied, Suyi, I am the kind of existence that cannot die. Not only can't die, after each death, he can become more powerful through the ability of the Supreme Doomsday. As the saying goes, what can kill oneself will make him stronger, this is Suyi's motto. When other group members were shocked by Suyi's bug, there was a warning in the chat group. Ding, please pay attention to all members, Hinata called for help. In an instant, the news in the chat group suddenly stagnated. But Suyi said at this time, I never thought that as the leader of the group, the first call for help would come so quickly. Whitebeard, Suyi, do you need our help? Isn't it possible to set up a shuttle passage? CC, but that requires the members' permission. Hinata hasn't appeared since just now. Yuki Asuna. I'm so worried about Hinata. I remember that there is a live broadcast function in the group. Can it be turned on? Otherwise, we can only be anxious. Suyi. No problem, trust my strength. After Suyi pressed the rescue button in the chat group, only the group owner can press it. His figure disappeared into his villa. And at this time in the Naruto world, Hinata shrunk her body and leaned her back against the corner. Her pretty face, which was already fair, became even paler. This scene is the scene where Union Village is about to kidnap Hinata. And at this moment, in front of Hinata, a passage with a height of one person opened up. Suyi's figure walked out of it. In Hinata's boudoir, a passage with a height of one person came into everyone's eyes. Da, da, da. Everyone can hear the sound of footsteps coming from the passage. The sudden change stunned the ninjas present. Immediately afterwards, they became vigilant, bowed slightly, and stared at the passage in front of them. Da. At this moment, a foot stepped out of the passage. Then there is Suyi's whole body. Entering the eyes, it is the antique wooden building. The fresh and elegant taste gives people a very comfortable feeling. Suyi looked around casually. Finally, he turned his gaze to the three ninjas of Union Village in front of him. Immediately, he said to Hinata who was behind him, "Little friend Hinata, it's the first time we meet. I'm the group leader Suyi, leave the rest to me." At this moment, the atmosphere froze. The three ninjas of Union Village only felt that there was a pressure like Mount High on their bodies. From Suyi's body, they could feel the unprecedented terror and murderous aura. Even they have never felt the horror of murderous aura. Moreover, they had never heard of the kind of ninjutsu just now, let alone seen it. But there is a task. The mission target is right behind Suyi. They have penetrated into the enemy's camp and have to give it a go. The three ninjas looked at each other, and immediately rushed towards Suyi. At this time, Suyi had just turned on the live broadcast of the chat group. What happened on Suyi's side was reflected in the eyes of the group members in the form of live video. Seeing the three ninjas from Hidden Cloud Village, and Hyuga Hinata huddled in the corner. The most angry is Yuki Asuna. Yuki Asuna. These guys don't even let children go. Which beast came up with the idea of three people dealing with a child? Yuki Asuna. If you let me know, I will definitely not let them go. CC, but you don't have the ability to fight. Why don't I go play in your world when you are free, and check if you have the Gios qualification? If so, I can give you Gios. Whitebeard. If you really want to become stronger, I can also give you the way of practicing physical skills. If there are devil fruits, I can also sell them to you, but they need to be exchanged for gold. Yuki Asuna. But even if I have gold, how can I give it to you? You can't come to my world, just carry it away, it feels too troublesome. CC. Didn't you know that there is a red envelope function in the chat group? You can send anything except creatures. Yuki Asuna. It's true, when you, a witch, are free, you can study various functions in the chat group, right? CC. Slipped away. JPG went to watch the group owner abuse the dishes. CC's words immediately drew everyone's attention back to the live video. In fact, now they are no longer worried about the safety of Hinata. After all, Suyi, who is the leader of the group, has already arrived at the scene. In the room, Hinata regained consciousness slightly. She looked longingly at Suyi standing in front of her. I just feel that my unprecedented sense of security wraps me tightly. Suddenly, Hinata seemed to have realized something, and hurriedly said to Suyi, "They are ninjas from Union Village, they are most likely three Jonin, be careful." As soon as Su heard this, he yawned, turned his back to Hinata, and made an, "okay," gesture. But Suyi's action was a huge flaw in the eyes of the three Union Village ninjas. "You guy, we are the top ninja, the price for underestimating us is." He didn't wait for the ninja of Union Village to finish speaking. Suyi's figure came in front of him. The arms were raised high like lightning, and then they used lightning speed to cover their ears. With a slap, it hit Jonin in the face. Bang! I saw this Jonin go out to the side at a faster speed than when he came. The head was directly inserted into the wall next to it. The body is drooping, and it looks miserable. It didn't wait for the other two Junin to react. There were two, pop, and, pop, sounds in the room again. Under Su Yi's bad taste, the three Jonin were in the same posture, and their heads were side by side and stuck on the wall. The three came from Union Village, who wanted to kidnap Hinata and study the blood succession limit of the 3 JNIN jumps. Hinata's eyes just stared at Su Yi in front of her so closely. I was very shocked. In her opinion, Jonin is the one standing on top of the pyramid. But such a strong man was dealt with by Su one by one. This strong sense of impact impacted Hinata's heart. And Su Yi's invincible figure was also imprinted in the deepest part of Hinata's heart. Clap clap, Su Yi clapped his hands casually, as if he bumped into them out of disgust. Afterwards, Su Yi turned around and came to Hinata's side. He stretched out his hand and pinched Hinata's face directly. Wow, it's so soft, this is Hinata's little face, I've wanted to touch it for a long time, and the baby fat is really cute. Hinata felt Su Yi's big fiery hand raging on her cheek. An unprecedented rosiness spread across Hinata's face. The heartbeat sound like a deer bumping wildly reached Su Yi's ears. The members of the group were also fried. Yuki Asuna. Ah. CC. Speaking of which, I also want to try it a little bit, and it feels very good in the hand. Su Yi smiled, and rubbed Hinata's face with his big hands. He didn't care about the words in the chat group, but said to Hinata in front of him, Hinata, I know your potential is very strong, if possible, I hope you can show your potential, I hope to see you are the hero of the world. Just worry about becoming stronger. If you encounter someone you can't beat at this stage, you can just call for help in the chat group. When the time comes, the members of the heavens and the world. The members of the group will stand behind you and let the bullies your people know that you are not easy to mess with. Yuki Asuna. That's right. Hinata can fly with confidence, and the group of friends will always be with you. CC. I don't know why, but I feel a little moved after hearing what the group leader said. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la. Anyone who dares to bully the group members, Whitebeard, will not let him go. In the chat group, the speeches of the members were all seen by Hinata. Tears welled up in Hinata's eyes. Hinata nodded vigorously. Looking at Su Yi in front of him, he said seriously, Brother Su Yi, I will definitely work harder. I will become stronger, until I become the best in the world. At that time, when you are in danger, I also want to go and help you. Su Yi narrowed his eyes slightly, and a smile appeared on his face. At this moment, he knew that Hinata's fate in front of him had been completely changed by him. As for the future son of the world Uzumaki Naruto, let him make way for Hinata. I believe that with the help of the chat group, Hinata's progress speed will become even more exaggerated. Will be far beyond all Tianzhou. At this time, the electronic voice of the chat group sounded in Su Yi's mind. Guardian Bagua 64 Palms. It is one of the extended skills of the Hyuga family's strongest body art, Soft Fist. Hearing the reward sound from the chat group, Su Yi knew that his mission was completed. In today's Naruto world, the fighting power is not as exaggerated as it was later. So Su Yi didn't stay long, said, see you later, to Hinata, and disappeared into the world of Naruto. And just after Su Yi left, in Hinata's room, a large number of people suddenly poured in. It's just that on the heads of these people, there are Konoha forehead protectors. Those who come are all from the Hyuga family. The first to bear the brunt is Hyuga Hinata, the patriarch of the Hyuga family, and the father of Hinata. After Hitohiro rushed into the room that day, he was completely shocked. I saw 3 ninjas from Union Village with their heads stuck in the wall, lifeless. And Hyuga Hinata also got up from the ground, looking at Hyuga Hinata. I only heard Hyuga Hyuzu say at this time, did you kill these 3 people? This sentence is full of incredible. Because in his opinion, Hinata's talent is too weak after all. Not to mention weak temperament, there is still a very limited improvement in physical skills. So this also caused the scene in front of him to have an unprecedented impact on Hinata Hyuzu. Hinata did not answer her father's words, it is impossible for her to tell the existence of the chat group. He just said to his father, Father, these 3 ninjas wanted to take me away just now. I know that I am still too weak now, but I will definitely become stronger in the future. Most definitely. At this moment, Hyuga Hinata clenched her catkin tightly. In the villa, Suyi returned to his room. Haven't gone to the chat group for a while. Instead, he glanced at the time. It is now 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And when he left, it seemed to be almost 6 o'clock. That is to say, the velocity of flow is different from world to world. The other speeds of Naruto world will be faster. But that's a good thing. Just as Su thought of this, he raised his head subconsciously. For some reason, he just felt as if something had fallen from the sky. It seems to be to verify Suyi's idea. All I heard was a loud bang from the roof of the villa. Boom, boom, boom. 3 deafening noises in a row exploded in the villa. I saw a figure descending from the sky. It smashed the roof of Suyi's villa and several floors of ceilings one after another, and fell in front of Suyi, who was on the first floor. Suyi raised his head, and looked at the sky covered with rosy clouds from the villa. Feeling a little distressed in my heart, I just moved into this villa. Why did I get smashed right through? As time moved down, Suyi looked at the figure. That figure was extremely slim. Black hair messy scattered on the ground. His face was indescribably pale. Most importantly, the black tight-fitting battle suit style clothes on her body are slowly melting away. Entering the eyes, it is all soft and beautiful. Countless beauties caught Suyi's eyes. But Suyi didn't close his eyes, instead he enjoyed everything in front of him with relish. Suddenly, Suyi's pupils shrank. He recognized the woman in front of him, the goddess of death, Hela. But isn't she in Odin's seal now? Why is it here? It still fell from the sky. Even smashed his own villa. It's decided, this guy must be made a maid to compensate. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. Thinking of this, Suyi immediately came in front of Hela. He squatted down, put his arms through his legs and beautiful back, and hugged Hela in the form of a princess hug. And at this moment, his doorbell rang. If nothing else happened, the person who knocked on his door at this time should be someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. It might even be Natasha herself. Thinking of this, Su glanced at the girl Hela in his arms. Take her quickly towards the basement. Outside, Natasha was reporting to Nick Fury. Director, I have already knocked on the door, but there is no movement inside. Are you sure that something just hit Suyi's villa directly? But our satellite didn't detect anything abnormal. Sure, then rush in now, Nick Fury said to Natasha very calmly. Maybe this time there will be a lot of gains. After receiving Nick Fury's order, Natasha was ready to rush in directly from the gate. But at this moment, the door slowly opened. Suyi looked at Natasha at the door, pretending to be surprised. Teacher, why are you here? Natasha deserves to be the top agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she will join the Avengers in the future. I saw her expression changing for a while, first she was stunned, then anxious. Suyi, why are you here? No, you are not injured, right? I just got off work and was about to go home, but as soon as I walked to the door, I saw something left here. I was afraid that something would happen, so I wanted to come and have a look. Quote. Hearing Natasha's explanation, Suyi slightly shook his head. He opened the door without hesitation, pointed at the direction where Hela landed just now, and said, Teacher, thank you for your concern. A huge rock fell from the sky just now. It should be. I have to say that it really scared me to death. After finishing speaking, Suyi changed the subject and said to Natasha in front of him, Teacher, I heard you said you were going home, so could it be that you live here? Natasha looked calm. Yes, I live right across from you, and I just moved here. What a coincidence, I just moved here too. Suyi vaguely reread the word, really coincidental. Afterwards, Suyi said, Okay, teacher, I have nothing to do. According to the local regulations, whoever discovers the meteorites that fall from the sky first will own them, and they can just be used for collection. After finishing speaking, Suyi yawned, Teacher, let's talk about it later when I have time. I'm a little sleepy now, so I'm going to sleep first. The implication of Suyi's words is to see off the guests. Before Natasha could speak, Suyi closed the door directly. He moved the meteorite lying on the ground into his own basement, and placed it where it originally belonged. And around the meteorite, there are also Suyi's collections accumulated for 3 years. Among them is a pager that summons Captain Marvel. Stretching for a while, Suyi murmured, "Shield needs to be beaten recently, otherwise, these flies are really annoying." As if hearing Suyi's voice, Hela, the goddess of death who was lying on the ground, let out a hint of distress at this moment. Following Hela's groaning sound, it fell. She slowly opened her eyes. At first, the eyes were still very puzzled, but then, Hela seemed to be aware of the environment she was in. One got up and stood up from the ground. Hela subconsciously blocked her body. She looked at Suyi in front of her, her chest was full of anger. Even breathing was a little short. "Humans, you have seen it all." Suyi glanced again, and then said, "No." Seeing Suyi's appearance, Hela was furious. "Death to me." After the words fell, Hela threw her hand towards Su. In Hela's imagination, a sharp blade should appear out of nowhere and fly towards Suyi's heart. But apart from Hela's weak voice, there was no change at all in reality. Not even the slightest ripple. At the same time, Hela was shocked. She realized how lacking her body was. She just got out of the seal and paid a lot of price. Not to mention the serious injuries in the body, even the divine power in the body is almost exhausted. This is why, there is no reason for the sharp blade to appear. As soon as Su looked at Hela's appearance, he naturally knew about Hela's situation. "I only heard Suyi say, 'Do you know what you did? You smashed through my villa. As compensation for this period of time, you can be a maid in my villa.'" Maid. Hela frowned slightly. Think about when she is the goddess of death, when she will be reduced to this point. If possible, she wished she could kill Suyi right now. It's just that she is just a thin and weak woman now. Perhaps it would be better to recuperate here. Just when Hela was thinking of this, Suyi took a piece of her own clothes and put it on Hela's body. Then, he said to Hela, "You can stay here with peace of mind, I'll go buy you some clothes. By the way, these things around are my collection, don't make any wrong ideas." HMPH, what do you think is the value of your fanpin collection that would interest me? However, since you want me to stay here, it's fine, I just hope you don't regret it in the future. After speaking, Hela looked at the surrounding collections with disdain. It's just that you don't know if you don't look at it, and you are shocked when you see it. Hela's pupils shrank suddenly. She saw 10 different rings lying in a cabinet not far away. Among these 10 different rings, there is a lot of power inside. Then, she looked at the meteorite next to her. There seems to be a mysterious metal on the meteorite. In her perception, this piece of metal seemed to be able to completely offset the surrounding vibrations. If Captain America sees it, he will definitely say, "Isn't this the material on my shield?" Sweep through the collections one by one. Hela even saw the existence of the cosmic Rubik's Cube. These collections are naturally the results of Suyi's battles in the past 3 years. And this really shocked Hela. She looked at Suyi in disbelief, and subconsciously asked, "Who are you?" At this time, Suyi had already arrived in front of the elevator in the villa. I only heard Suyi leave a sentence, "Just an ordinary rich man." After speaking, Suyi stepped into the elevator, pressed a series of numbers, and went deeper underground. Hela, the goddess of death, was left behind in Suyi's clothes, with a face full of shock and surprise. She finds that she may have fallen into the home of an even more mysterious guy. Suddenly, a smile appeared on the corner of Hela's mouth. Perhaps, this is also good. At least he can recover from his injuries with peace of mind. Suyi took the elevator and came to the deepest point. At the bottom of his villa, there is a high-speed train specially used for moving. After boarding the train, Suyi entered the chat group. Ding! Group leader Suyi is online. Suyi who just joined the chat group. It was crazy by Asuna Yuki. Yuki Asuna. Group owner, look at that task panel. Yuki Asuna. I found that the task panel can be used. CC. You said the task panel, when the chat group members reach 5 people, it will be automatically opened. I already knew this. Yuki Asuna. What? I thought I was the first to discover it, which made me excited for a long time. CC. I think you want to claim credit, so get your favorability in front of Suyi, little fox. Yuki Asuna. Ah, you witch. What nonsense are you talking about? What kind of friendliness? The group leader and I have never met in real life, so we are completely unfamiliar, okay. Hinata. Brother Suyi is very good, the best and the best. CC. Hey, Hinata, do you like Brother Suyi? Yuki Asuna. Don't tell this witch, just tell me secretly, I will keep it a secret for you. Pinch your waist and laugh wildly. JPG. Suyi. Okay, stop teasing Xiao Hinata, I'll study this task panel first, and we'll talk later. After speaking, Suyi brought up the task panel in the chat group. It's just blank inside, and there is no introduction at all. It made Suyi completely unable to make a move. Forget it, after I finish handling the matter, I will study this task panel slowly. Go and attract the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D. recently. S.H.I.E.L.D. has been too busy lately. When you come back, let's buy a maid outfit on the way, but what kind of maid outfit should I buy? Suyi sat on the high-speed train, talking to himself there. Soon, Suyi left Queens and came to the suburbs. After coming to the ground, the surroundings are all kinds of woods, and it is a completely deserted place. I saw Suyi put on the black robe placed on the train, with his legs slightly bent, and then he exerted force suddenly. It directly drives Suyi's body and flies towards the sky. Dash. At the same time, in an extremely remote desert, Tony Stark is forging iron in the cave. Sweat had already soaked through his dark and sour clothes. Dang 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 dang. The sound of iron striking echoed continuously in the cave. The more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Thinking of him as a playboy, he would be caught by terrorists to blackmail him. He must wash away this shame. However, through his understanding these days, the reason why he was caught was because there was a mysterious guy before killed their immediate boss, the Mandarin. Without the leadership of the Mandarin, the leaderless group of dragons did not compete for the position of the boss first, but wanted to avenge the Mandarin and revive the prestige of the Ten Rings gang. That's why he was so sad and became their target to make the most powerful weapon. All this is because of that mysterious guy. Thinking of this, Tony Stark slammed harder on the steel in front of him with greater force. Afterwards, he confidently looked at the armor in front of him, Mark 1 tin can armor. I only heard Tony Stark in the cave say, "It's finally finished." And at this moment, the task panel of the chat group suddenly sent a reminder. Ding, the task is released. Save Tony Stark. The task can be participated by one person except the group leader Suyi. After completing the task, you can get a reward, 100 points. Points can be used to exchange for items and improve one's abilities after the chat group is upgraded. When the group members saw the scene in front of them, they were completely blown away. Yuki Asuna. It's out. A mission is out. CC. Is this going to let us go to the world of the group owner? Hinata. I'm curious about what kind of world Suyi's world is like. Whitebeard. Waiting for more people, it seems that this point can be used to exchange for various things. I don't know if there is anything for healing. When Suyi saw the task, he was slightly taken aback. This time, his purpose is to find Tony Stark. His subordinate, Jin Bin, told himself early on that the remnants of the Ten Rings gang were still active there. And because Suyi, the butterfly, kept flapping its wings, they gathered nearly 10 people this time. With the help of Tony Stark, the first set of steel suits created in the cave is definitely impossible to fight against 10 people. This time, he intends to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 1. Tony Stark was kidnapped, and Suyi took the opportunity to buy shares in Stark Industries and became one of the major shareholders. After Tony Stark comes back, the stock will definitely soar because of the steel suit. 2. Attract the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D., let them focus on Tony, and stop bothering me. And now, the system also sent a task. Can let the members of the chat group come to earn points. It's killing 3 birds with 1 stone. For this, Suyi said, cool, in one word. Suyi. Anyway, there are only 100 terrorists. Rather than just committing crimes without jurisdiction, it's better to wipe them all out. Who of you will come here this time? You should know that this is points. Yuki Asuna. I'll rule it out first, after all, I don't have the ability at all, and if I go, it will be a hindrance. After saying these words, Yuki Asuna felt a little lost in her heart. For the first time, a desire for power appeared in her heart. Hinata. I'm currently exercising gymnastics and I'm preparing to graduate from ninja school ahead of schedule. Yuki Asuna. Come on, Hinata. You can definitely do it. Hinata. Fairy thank you. JPG. CC. Although I am immortal, it is useless if I go there, the efficiency is too slow. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la. If that's the case, let me do this task. Yuki Asuna. Okay, old man with a white beard, you should need points more than us, and maybe you can exchange them for items at that time, so that you can return to the top. Whitebeard. Girl, don't talk nonsense, my current body is still healthy. Suyi. Whitebeard, this mission is up to you. I'm still waiting for you to fight me after you recover to your peak. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la. I can't wait for it. I feel like I'm going to burn. Suyi. Okay, if that's the case, when I get to my location, I can just set up a shuttle and come over. If possible, I'd better put on a black robe. Whitebeard. Black question mark. JPG. Okay, I'll look for it. After getting Whitebeard's answer, the corners of Suyi's mouth slightly raised. It seems that something more interesting is about to happen. I have to say, the chat group is quite interesting. Thinking of this, Suyi's speed was a little faster. I saw that he came to this desert from Queens in a very short time. Suyi looked down from the sky. With eyesight far superior to that of ordinary people, he wantonly scanned the desert below. Sure enough, the rebel army below can be said to be densely packed, all over the large desert. Everyone is fully armed, armored vehicles, tanks, and even helicopter gunships are parked there. It seems to be very exaggerated. Just when Suyi was about to end everything early. In the desert below, there was a sudden commotion. Da 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 da. The guns spewed flames. The sound of bullets slanting out echoed in Suyi's ears. Following the sound, Su locked his eyes on a bunker for an instant. If his guess is correct, it should be Tony Stark, driving the first set of steel suits he made, and started the battle in the bunker. Gunshots continued to spread, attracted the attention of others around. These guys are all licking blood on the knife edge. A gunshot instantly made their spirits tense. Everyone gathers. Ready to fight. Everyone gathers. Ready to fight. Following those people below, summoned over and over again. With the bunker where the gunshots sounded as the center, countless rebel troops surrounded it. These guys are armed with weapons, even RPGs. All of them aimed their guns at the entrance of the bunker. At this moment, Suyi looked at everything in front of him with great interest. At this time, a gray-white metal armor, like an iron tank, came into everyone's field of vision. Everyone who saw this steel suit was stunned for a moment. What is this? They have never seen this thing. If they remember correctly, they have never seen it in the base at all. And at this time, many team leaders broke everyone's thinking. All they could hear was shouting, "Fire!" All of a sudden, countless bullets shot towards Tony Stark, the first-generation steel suit driven by him. Da 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 da. Tongues of fire mingled with gunpowder smoke, rippling around. The bullet pierced through the air, heading towards Tony Stark like a bamboo. However, the expression of Tony Stark, who was driving the steel suit, remained unchanged. Thinking of the death that Ethan caused to protect himself just now, he felt extremely angry. Come on, you murderous rebels. Now it's my turn. Bullets hit the steel suit. But it was of no use. Even when the bullet touched the steel suit, it would bounce back to other people. It's just like an anti-Class A existence. I saw Tony Stark controlling the steel suit, with his arms outstretched, and the flames bloomed in an instant. The arms of the steel suit are equipped with flame devices. The flame device continuously spewed thick flames, turning into a ferocious fire dragon, devouring everything without restraint. If Suyi didn't show up, then follow the rotation of the gears of fate. Tony Stark could easily leave. But because of the existence of Suyi, this time Tony Stark faced rebels, that is, terrorists. Therefore, the moment Tony Stark appeared, he was completely suppressed by bullets and missiles. Even if it's his flame device, no matter how it spews out, it won't help at all. Therefore, Tony Stark immediately decided to run away if he couldn't beat him. Just at this moment, one of the squad leaders shoot the most advanced missile produced by Stark Industries towards Tony Stark. Tony Stark, who noticed this scene, sank completely. And at this time, and just at this juncture, a cluster of azure blue rays of light descended from the sky. Boom! The light directly swallowed the missile. There is no way for the explosion to get out of the range of the light. It was a pure blue light. Tony Stark's pupils shrank suddenly, looking at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Dazed in a daze. What exactly is going on? Tony Stark gasped in shock. Before Tony Stark recovered, something even more shocking happened. I saw that as the light dissipated. A large pit tens of meters deep was reflected in Tony Stark's field of vision. That is, the ground near here has been reinforced because of the bunker. Otherwise, they would definitely be swallowed by the scorching sand in the desert. Look up. Tony Stark saw a black spot appear in the sky. And this black spot is constantly enlarging. Suddenly, Tony Stark thought of the rumors he had heard before. The guy in the black robe who set off horror legends one after another all over the world. It's that guy. That guy is here. Not only Tony Stark discovered the existence of Su Yi. Everyone present was attracted by the light just now. Thus looked to the sky. I saw a man in a black robe appearing in front of everyone. And when everyone present saw Su Yi in the black robe, the body of the terrorist who survived by chance had already started to tremble involuntarily. The devil. That devil is coming. Hasn't he been gone for a while? Why is it appearing in front of us again now? Change the target and fire at the man in black. Su Yi looked at the many bullets, pouring towards him like heavy rain. Can't help laughing out loud. I didn't expect that I'm so popular. Following Su Yi's words, he in the chat group. Su Yi, come on, I'm here. Ding, Whitebeard applies for World Shuttle. Agree. Ding, the establishment of the shuttle channel is completed, and the existence of the mission is detected. The recipients of this mission are Su Yi and Bybird. After completing the mission, they will each get 100 points. Following the notification tone of the chat group, it fell. A huge passage appeared next to Su Yi. After seeing this passage, Su Yi clicked his tongue slightly. My dear boy, Whitebeard's 6 meter long body is really not covered. At this time, in the passage, Whitebeard was also wearing a black robe, only showing the iconic Whitebeard, holding the supreme sharp knife 12 crafts Kong Yunchi, and walked out of the passage. And those who saw Whitebeard's body felt that their three views had collapsed. Is this a giant? No. Is this guy really a human? How can humans grow so tall? This must be a monster, that's right. He must be a monster. The huge figure of Whitebeard had a strong impact on everyone. For some reason, even though they were in the scorching desert, they felt endlessly cold. At the same time, Whitebeard's iconic laugh echoed in everyone's ears. Gu la 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 la, remember my name, I am Whitebeard. Before Whitebeard could finish his sentence, Su came up with a Guardian 8 diagram 64 palm. The powerful energy that was set off crushed all the surrounding bullets into pieces. Except for the man in the steel suit behind him, all the others will be wiped out. Whitebeard, Gu la 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 la, no problem. Leave this to me. Su Yi, terrorists have done all kinds of evil things, don't hold back. CC, do you want to start a live broadcast? Su Yi, it's fine, but if you're too weak in mental capacity, don't watch it. After speaking, Su Yi turned on the live broadcast. The surrounding environment was immediately reflected in the eyes of the group members. All I saw was that Su Yi was standing on the ground casually. And Whitebeard's huge body stood erect on the ground like a small hill. It can be said that there is a strong sense of contrast. Behind him is a shocked Tony Stark. In front of them, there are terrorists. All kinds of terrifying weapons were aimed at them. Seeing this scene, Yuki Asuna trembled in her heart. This scene had the biggest impact on her. Because the world she lives in now is a technological world. The estimates for these firearms and missiles are not bad. Because of this, Yuki Asuna was very worried. Yuki Asuna, are you really okay? This is firepower. The horror firepower is unimaginable. CC, are you worried about Su Yi? It was originally a joke before, but now I find that things are not that simple. Smirk. JPG. Hinata, Brother Su Yi, Grandpa Whitebeard, you must be careful. Whitebeard, Gu la 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 la. Girl, you don't have to worry, because I am Whitebeard. Su Yi, actually, when you reach our level, you will find that no matter how many there are, they are just ants. Ants. Yuki Asuna fell into silence. She found that she might really be able to pursue the realm that Suyi said in his mouth. As the elder of the chat group, she doesn't want to be the weakest person. She also wants to become stronger. And following Suyi and Whitebeard, they finished speaking in the chat group. The two of them rushed out directly. Whitebeard stepped forward with one step, his fists clenched tightly, his arms slightly bent. Then, it slammed into the air shock. Everyone was curious as to what Whitebeard was doing. And in the next second, the space was cracked inch by inch. The whole space seems to be layered and misplaced. Various hot weapons such as bullets and missiles flying in the air. At this time, all of them exploded, and there was no way to get close to Whitebeard. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. I have been paying attention to Tony Stark on the battlefield, and I feel that the giant-like old man should be the strongest. Everyone also looked at the Whitebeard next to him. More ferocious firepower was launched against Whitebeard. But at this moment, Suyi took a step forward. It looks very light that way. The terrorists opposite them were also taken aback for a moment. I don't know the meaning of Suyi's action. It's just that as time goes by, nothing happens around. Just when they thought that Suyi was not as strong as Whitebeard, the ground suddenly trembled. The gravel above the desert began to tremble. And Tony Stark behind Suyi and Whitebeard can see it most clearly. It's just that it wasn't Tony Stark who was the most shocked. It's the shield that is aware of the turmoil here. Through the satellite, they only saw Suyi in black robe as the center. The surrounding million-hectare desert ground is constantly cracking and shaking, and countless gravels are pouring down. In the blink of an eye, all the terrorists were swallowed up. The ground continued to collapse. Countless gravel poured into the ground frantically from the cracks. Let him have 100,000 terrorists, under such power, it is impossible to resist. In S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury can see clearly through the satellite. The desert was completely buried. Not only Nick Fury, Coulson was beside Nick Fury, also staring at the scene in front of him dumbfounded. This kind of terrifying power is probably not a god in the world. No wonder the city was destroyed by the aftermath of the battle. The desert continued to flow downwards, and the earth's crust under Suyi's feet squeezed each other, directly changing the environment of the desert. There are many high mountains, like life, constantly growing towards the sky. For a moment, the desert was gone. Instead, there are countless mountains. If you observe carefully, you can find that there are countless high mountains with bright red blood flowing. When the mountain rose, those terrorists had already been crushed to death. It was Suyi's last kindness, allowing them to leave this world without any pain. You know, the ability of the Supreme Doomsday he possesses far exceeds that of Superman. Superman can easily bench press the Earth scale for 5 days and 5 nights. Not a single drop of sweat flowed. Even said it was very easy. Not to mention Suyi. Gudong. Whitebeard swallowed subconsciously. His face changed for a while, and he stared dumbfounded at the scene in front of him. Before thinking about it, Suyi said that he would challenge himself after he recovered his body. Whitebeard felt a lot of pressure. Originally, Whitebeard thought that he and Su were the same. Even if Suyi was stronger than him, it was because of his old age. After all, regardless of Suyi's original speed or strength, it was still within the acceptable range. But what just happened? Just 1 foot. Suyi buried the entire desert. Caused the movement of the crust. They even squeezed each other, directly in front of them, forming mountain ridges one after another. The most important thing is that where they stand, nothing has happened. This kind of terrifying power control is definitely not comparable to him. Whitebeard set his gaze on Suyi, and felt that the guy in front of him might not be a monster. Ding! Congratulations to the group leaders Suyi and Bybird, for completing this mission, they will each get 100 points. After hearing the prompt from the chat group, Whitebeard took another deep look at the mountains in front of him, and immediately said, "Group leader, now that the task is completed, I will withdraw first." As Whitebeard's voice fell, the shuttle passage appeared behind Whitebeard. Whitebeard immediately walked towards the passage. The figure disappeared. In the chat group, many members remained silent for a long time after seeing this live broadcast. They simply don't know how to describe the scene in front of them. CC, as this Suyi's ability as a group leader. CC, that's too strong. It actually changed the environment of the desert with one kick. Hinata. Brother Suyi is amazing. Star Eyes. JPG. Yuki Asuna. This is what Suyi said before. At his level, is it meaningless no matter how many there are? At this time, some of the Whitebeards who returned to the world have not recovered. He stepped out of his huge room and looked at his sons. Suddenly, an idea of becoming stronger rose up in my heart. Father, what's wrong with you? Marco said to Whitebeard. Gu la. Marco find me the best doctor, and I won't touch alcohol again during this time. Marco was shocked when he heard what Whitebeard said. You know, Whitebeard was addicted to alcohol before. Even if there were countless hidden wounds in his body, he didn't care at all. Now, why such a decision is made? It seems to have noticed the curiosity in Marco's heart. The Whitebeard looked into the distance. It was an endless blue sea. I only heard Whitebeard say lightly, because I want to become stronger. One stone caused 1,000 waves. Father, you are the strongest man in the sea. Father, on this sea, there is absolutely no one who is your opponent. It's really hard to imagine how powerful Dad will become if he continues to grow stronger. Regarding his son's words, Whitebeard didn't have too many words. By the way, Dad, just now Ace told us good news. He said that he has caught up with Blackbeard. Really? Then we believe in Ace, and we will be able to triumph. In the Marvel world, at this moment, only Suyi and Tony Stark were left. Looking at Tony Stark in front of him, Suyi found that Tony Stark had fainted from fright. Well, there will be more opportunities to meet in the future. I believe that those guys from S.H.I.E.L.D. As Suyi's voice fell, he turned off the live broadcast of the chat group, and his figure disappeared in place in an instant. At an extremely fast speed, he ran towards the villa in Queens. On the way, I went to a maid outfit store and bought various outfits for Hela to bring back. And with Suyi's departure, Nick Fury really contacted someone else and quickly came to check the scene. Want to see what's going on here? Then found Tony Stark lying on the ground. At the same time, he also gave most of his attention transferred to this battle, especially the giant in the black robe with the white beard. It is also the focus of their investigation. Except for Natasha, the other eyes have been diverted from Suyi. At this time, Suyi had already returned to his villa. He found that Hela was already very casual, wearing his extremely loose clothes, watching TV in the living room. Looking at your appearance, you're getting familiar with quickly. Here, I bought you clothes. Wear these. Saying that, Suyi threw the 3 sets of maid outfits he bought on the sofa next to Hela. As for the loopholes in the villa, Jinbing has sent a team to completely repair them. Just like new. After hearing this, Hela picked up the clothes next to her. From her point of view, Suyi in front of her was extremely mysterious. Ability unknown, but the collection at home is really a bit scary. So Hela has made up her mind. She won't leave here until she fully recovers from her injuries. Even in a maid outfit. Suddenly, Hela's pupils shrank suddenly. She stared blankly at the maid outfit in her hand. How about it? Isn't it beautiful? I chose it carefully. Okay, looks good. Are you sure this is a maid outfit? Does the maid outfit worn by your maid have openings? Hela, who is known as the goddess of death, only felt her cheeks burn when she saw the maid outfit in her hand, and there was an indescribable feeling in her heart that slowly permeated. This feeling was something she had never felt before. Chapter 11. Stark Industries Building. Tony Stark sat on the ground in embarrassment, constantly eating hamburgers in his hands. This is his favorite food. He, who escaped from death, cherishes this delicacy very much. In front of him, there were countless reporters aiming at him like spears and cannons. Mr. Stark, may I ask what happened to you during this time? And why did that desert turn into a mountain? Tony Stark took a bite of the burger. His eyes seemed to become deeper. However, he didn't answer the reporter's question directly, and only heard him say in a deep voice, I saw young people being killed, and died under the weapon I designed to protect everyone. And now, I finally woke up like a dream. I want to do more for the world and for the society. So I am going to close now, Stark International's weapons manufacturing department. As Tony Stark's voice fell, the surrounding reporters burst into an uproar. Countless flashes flashed. Freeze the moment. And Su-yi and Hela also sat on the sofa and watched the live broadcast. Hela was still wearing Su-yi's clothes at this time. But this still couldn't stop the charm exuding from Hela. Su-yi, I'm sleepy, I'll go back to my room and sleep first. Today's Hela needs to wait for the injuries in her body to fully recover before she can recover her divine power. Otherwise, it is no different from an ordinary person. Be sleepy, hungry, and tired. However, when Su saw the direction in which Hela was leaving, his expression was quite strange. Hela, that's my room. At this time, Hela had already walked to the door. When she heard Su-yi's words, her body froze suddenly. But soon, she took another step forward. HMPH, so what if it's your room? I want it. After speaking, Hela walked into Su-yi's room. However, when she was lying on the bed, she felt Su-yi's smell. The feeling of enveloping herself kept lingering in Hela's heart. Regarding this, Su-yi just smiled helplessly. And at this moment, Su-yi received a private letter from Yuki Asuna. Yuki Asuna. Su-yi, are you free now? Su-yi. Yes, what's wrong? Yuki Asuna. I've been thinking for a long time, I want to become stronger, but I don't know how to become stronger, so I want to come and ask you, the group leader. Su-yi. The power system on my side is a bit complicated, and it's actually not very suitable for you. I personally think that you can make a deal with Xiao Hinata and Whitebeard. Su-yi. Little Hinata has taijutsu and ninjutsu, but now you don't have energy in your body to replace it, so you can only learn taijutsu. Su-yi. Whitebeard also has body skills and a kind of existence called devil fruit. You know that even the cheapest devil fruit needs million berries, but you can exchange it with gold. Devil fruit is the best way to improve your strength. Su-yi. As for CC's Gias, I don't recommend it very much, because the randomness is a bit large, and if the will is weak, it may cause the ability to lose control. In a boudoir decorated very girlishly, Yuki Asuna was lying on the bed, constantly thinking about what Su-yi said to herself. Suddenly, she thought of one thing. Yuki Asuna. By the way, Su-yi, do you know what will happen in our world in the future? Su-yi. I know, don't you guys pre-order the full dive game helmet now? As long as you buy that thing, you will enter a death game, and you will be completely cool in the reality of death in it. It is a better way to train your own combat experience and nerve reaction speed. Yuki Asuna. At that time, can I still use the chat group? Ding, this chat group is above everything else. All members of the group, no matter what happens, can use all functions in the group normally. After seeing the reminder in the chat group, Asuna Yuki was completely relieved. Yuki Asuna. I know, I will definitely become stronger, and I will never leave too many of you behind. After Su-yi saw the message sent by Yuki Asuna, the corners of Su-yi's mouth rose slightly. However, being kind and friendly, he still gave a friendly reminder to Asuna Yuki. Su-yi, remember, if you meet a black-haired man who claims to be Kirito, you must ignore him, he is a very scumbag. Yuki Asuna. I know. Su-yi. Then I'll go to bed first, if there's anything you don't understand, just come and find me. After saying goodbye to each other, Yuki Asuna went to find Whitebeard and Hinata. Dash. In a blink of an eye, a new day arrives. Su-yi came out from another room and stretched himself. Yesterday can be said to be the most fulfilling day for him in the past 3 years. Joined the chat group and got acquainted with the members in the group. He also became the leader of the chat group. She even picked up a goddess of death as a maid. Apart from not being able to fight the strong, the overall feeling is really not bad. Hela, are you up yet? Get up and cook. Su-yi yelled at Hela's room, and opened the door directly. The moment he opened the door, he saw a white light shining into his eyes. Subconsciously, Su-yi swallowed a mouthful of saliva. At this time, Hela had just woken up, and her eyes were a little hazy looking at Su-yi in front of her. Immediately afterwards, she reacted, and directly covered herself with the quilt next to her, and shouted at Su-yi, Su-yi, get out. In this way, the noisy day began thoroughly. Ding, Edward Elric joined the group chat. Following the notification from the chat group, it sounded in Su-yi's mind. As soon as Su closed the door casually, he lay down on the sofa in the living room. Spirit entered the chat group. Su-yi. Edward, welcome to the newcomer. I am Suyi, the owner of the chat group. Yuki Asuna. Hello newcomer, I am the poorest member of this group. Hinata. HMPH, don't try to lie, Sister Asuna is obviously the richest person besides Brother Suyi. CC, this is forever, newcomers are welcome. Whitebeard, GU la, is there a newcomer coming? Welcome. Edward Elric froze for a moment. He suddenly received an invitation letter from the chat group just now, and he subconsciously clicked on a yes. Unexpectedly, a lot of things appeared in my mind. Edward, what is this? Alchemy, CC, alchemy, it seems that the world you live in is quite retro. Yuki Asuna, ha, here it comes. The witch has a poisonous tongue. Suyi, don't worry, this is not some kind of alchemy, we are all people from different worlds, just like family members, help each other, encourage each other. Become stronger together. And Edward Elric was completely stunned when he saw the word family. When Edward Elric saw the word family, he froze for a moment. Now, he only has his younger brother who turned into an armor, and an old man who is fooling around somewhere. The word family, he originally thought it would be far away from him. But now he feels the warmth of his family again from the chat group. I have to say, this feeling is really amazing. It also eased Edward Elric's tired heart a little. However, at this moment, the chat group posted a task. Ding, released the mission. Save Nina, limit the number of people. 2, you can get a reward after completing it, 100 points. The chat group, which had a very good atmosphere, fell into a cold moment when the task was announced. Edward Elric, Nina, are you referring to my Nina? But we just left from Nina. CC, what the hell is going on? Yuki Asuna, Suyi, you know our world, you should also know Edward's world, right? What is the meaning of this mission? At this time, Suyi, who was lying on the sofa, saw the task posted by the chat group. The murderous aura instantly permeated his body. This also attracted Hela, who just came out of the room. However, Suyi didn't pay attention to Hela. In the chat group, Suyi, Edward Elric, you should return to Nina right now. Her father is a beast. She plans to fuse her own daughter with Nina's dog through alchemy to make a synthetic beast that can talk. At this moment, all the members only felt cold for a while. Biological father, fusion daughter with dog. Can this kind of thing really be done by humans? Suyi, Edward Elric, you go to Nina's place quickly, I will set up a passage here immediately, any of you will go with me. CC, let me and Suyi participate in this mission. Yuki Asuna, Suyi, Nina will leave you alone. Hinata, brother Suyi, you must teach me a lesson, that beast father. Whitebeard, if it were me, I would shake him until there is not even a scum left. Edward Elric, so this mission, is it really about Nina? Will her father really fuse her with Alexander? Alexander is the name of Nina's dog. Suyi, yes, so what we have to do is to correct this bloody thing. At the beginning, when Suyi didn't time travel, he was very angry when he saw this scene. Now, he intends to return this anger to Nina's father Tucker with interest. The best protection for Nina is to let him disappear from the world. After Edward Elric determined the mission. Without any hesitation, he immediately said to his younger brother Alphonse Elric, Alphonse, let's go back to Nina's mansion. Alphonse didn't know what happened, but after hearing what his brother said, he immediately followed Edward and ran into the distance. If it is true as the chat group said, then Nina is in danger. Thinking of this, Edward's speed was a little faster. Soon, they came to the mansion where Nina was. It's just that the glow of the setting sun has already covered the sky with a layer of orange. The quiet mansion even reveals a little bit of weirdness. Edward gasped slightly. His eyes revealed determination. Without any hesitation, Edward kicked the door directly. Bang! Seeing this, Alphonse quickly said, Brother, what are you doing? Why did you kick the door open? There's no time to explain, we have to find that guy Tucker. Let's look for it separately. Alphonse has always believed in his brother. Although he didn't know what happened, he still acted separately from Edward to find Tucker. At this time, in a hidden laboratory in the mansion, Tucker also heard the noise outside. It seems that someone who is in the way is here. Obviously the most critical time is coming soon. Tucker's eyes glowed with a cold light. But in the cold light, the pale cheek of the little girl Nina was reflected. Dad, what are you going to do? Why are you tying me to the lab bench? Why are you making Alexander dizzy? Dad, what's wrong with you? The sound of father echoed in Tucker's ears, but Tucker didn't make any waves at all. On the contrary, he uttered unprecedentedly disgusting words. Don't blame Dad, Dad is also forced to be helpless. Tomorrow is the National Alchemist's assessment. If I can't get the results, I can't spend it here. I will also be punished. Countless people ridiculed. So, Nina is wrong. Nina, you are willing to help Dad, right? And just when Tucker's voice fell, there was a deafening sound at the door. Boom, I saw the hidden laboratory door, which was kicked open by Edward at once. You selfish guy, let go of Nina. Nina's eyes were already filled with tears. When she saw Edward appearing, she could no longer control her emotions. Big brother, save me. He's not Dad. He's not my dad won't be like this. Nina's cry made Edward grit his teeth. He hated himself, why he didn't recognize Tucker's true face earlier. If it was earlier, this kind of thing should not have happened. Tucker looked at the crying Nina in front of him, and sighed, obviously it's the critical moment. Why are you bothering me here? As Tucker's voice fell, he reached into his arms and took out a whistle. Frowning, he looked at Edward in front of him, looking crazy. The whole face seemed to be distorted. Go to hell. After speaking, Tucker blew his whistle. Whistles echoed through the mansion. At this moment, the mansion, which was originally so quiet and terrifying, began to tremble slightly. Countless dust fell from the ceiling. Dong dong dong, dong dong dong. Footsteps seemed to fill the upstairs. The sound keeps moving. Edward finally saw the owners of the voices. Those are synthetic beasts one by one. There are synthetic beasts with cats and snakes, synthetic beasts with bats and dogs, synthetic beasts with sharks and eagles. These synthetic beasts are all kinds of strange things, which is enough to see how many insane experiments Tucker conducted during his time as a national alchemist. These synthetic beasts all had red eyes, staring closely at Edward in front of them, and rushing towards Edward quickly. At this time, Tucker's voice echoed in Edward's ears. Edward, I admit that your strength is good, but in front of my synthetic beast, you can only be eaten. Just watch how I fuse the dog Nina and Alexander. She will become the most perfect synthetic beast. Edward looked at the surging synthetic beast in front of him, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Do you think it's so easy for me to let you succeed? As Edward's voice fell, a shuttle passage appeared in front of him. The appearance of the shuttle passage made Tucker visibly taken aback. Before he could react, what happened, he saw a man and a woman walking out of the passage. The man's face was stern and cold. The woman has waist-length green soft long hair, but her complexion is also very cold. Exactly the same as the man next to him. When Edward saw these two people appear, he immediately reminded, be careful, these synthetic beasts are very tricky. We must deal with them carefully. Be careful. No, letting this kind of scum live for a second is a kind of forgiveness for him. So, let's just kill him. Although Tucker didn't know what alchemy this was, he could make them suddenly appear in front of him. But no matter what, it's just two people. Do you think that with the three of you, you can defeat 100 of my synthetic beasts? Let me tell you, this is absolutely impossible. My cute synthetic beasts, eat them for me. Tucker pointed at the three people in front of him, and said fiercely to Suyi and the others. Roar! The one rushing to the front was the synthetic beast of the shark and the eagle. It was seen rushing towards Suyi at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this, Edward immediately shouted, be careful. It's just that they underestimated Suyi's power. Cut. I only heard Suyi snort coldly with disdain. His eyes looked at the synthetic beasts beside him. Heat rays. Laugh. I saw that Suyi's eyes shot out a crimson beam of light immediately. Wherever Suyi's line of sight passed, everyone's synthetic beasts were easily cut into two halves. Not even a scream came out. But Cece cleverly covered up this scene. She didn't pay attention to Tucker next to her, and walked straight towards Nina. Seeing this, Tucker's complexion instantly turned extremely pale, and he subconsciously said, why, how is it possible? As he said that, Tucker seemed to be crazy. Impossible. My synthetic beast is the strongest existence in the world, how could it be killed by someone in a flash? After finishing speaking, Tucker seemed to have noticed Cece's movements. He pointed at the woman in front of him. You. What are you trying to do? Stay away from me. As Tucker said, he took out a pistol from the side, raised his arm, and shot towards Cece in front of him. Go to hell. Tucker tore his throat and stared at his eyes. There are countless bloodshot eyes in the eyes. But the moment he pressed the trigger, Suyi's figure appeared in front of Tucker. You beast, let me send you to hell to repent. However, Tucker didn't care about Suyi's words at all. Because his pistol has already fired a bullet. Bullets sliced through the air. Tongues of fire spit. In Tucker's view, Suyi was so close to him that it was impossible to escape. In other words, Suyi must surely die. Just the next second. The reality made Tucker fall from heaven to hell. The bullet shot at Suyi's heart at super high speed, but it didn't even break the skin. It bounced directly to the side. How is this possible? You are definitely not human. You are a devil. A devil. Tucker's voice became very sharp. Therefore, Suyi didn't give him a chance to speak more. He grabbed his neck and brought him to the height of the mansion. At this time, the cold enveloped Tucker. The fear of hanging in the air and the fear of death are intertwined at this time. Let go, let me go, please, please, I won't dare again. Tucker is scared. He is afraid of death. He still wants to continue to enjoy the beauty of this world. He doesn't want to die yet. But, above the sky, looking at Tucker in front of him, he said slowly, I am not the virgin, nor a messenger of justice, so you should take your sins and go to hell to repent. Following Suyi's voice fell. He took Tucker and continued to fly towards the universe. The ability of Supreme Doomsday is fully displayed at this time. The coldness in the universe made Tucker's skin frosty. The lack of air caused Tucker a lot of pain. However, in Suyi's opinion, this is not enough. Only Tucker was completely shattered. Only then can this kind of scum be completely purified. It doesn't matter if thousands of people are slaughtered. It doesn't matter if thousands of people are slaughtered. It doesn't matter to me. But it is unforgivable to attack one's own relatives. I will see one, kill one, with endless repentance, go to me. Die. As Suyi's voice fell, I saw that his speed was a little faster. Brought Tucker directly into a planet. Boom boom boom. Suyi was mixed with an angry punch. Bury Tucker directly. Immediately afterwards, the top of the planet was cracked inch by inch. Countless grounds began to bulge, and then spread towards the surroundings. The rate of diffusion is getting faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, the entire planet exploded. The violent explosion directly turned into a black hole, devouring the planet and Tucker, who was turned into scum, completely removing traces of human scum. At this time, Cece came to Nina's side, and very gently hugged Nina off the test bench. He held her in his arms very gently, and then whispered to her ear, Nina, it's okay, everything is over, don't be afraid anymore. Cece's voice drifted into Nina's ears. Very gentle and soft. In just a short moment, Nina fell into a deep sleep. Cece looked at Nina in front of her, feeling a little sentimental for a moment. But thinking of meeting Suyi and other members of the chat group, she couldn't help feeling a little relieved. Come to think of it, the existence of a chat group is a kind of home. I believe that Nina in her arms will also become stronger and finally find her own happiness. Brother, this is. At this time, Alphonse finally rushed to Edward's side. He was searching for the hidden laboratory, but when he heard the sound of fighting erupting here, he hurried over. But he saw a green-haired girl holding Nina in her arms. This scene gives people a sense of tranquility. Ding! The Save Nina task is completed. Participants Suyi and Cece get 100 points. This world member Edward gets 100 points. Ding! The task is completed. Group members can leave at any time. With the voice of the chat group, it sounded in the minds of the three. Cece hugged Nina and came to Edward. I'll leave this child to you. If you need help with anything, just call us. We'll leave first. Afterwards, Cece said to the sleeping Nina, Nina, be happy in the future. After Cece finished speaking, he left the mansion. At this time, Suyi also flew down from the sky. Getting rid of a scumbag made Suyi feel better. Cece, let's withdraw and leave the rest to Edward. We have to believe in the ability of the new members. As for Nina, when I go back, I will prepare a red envelope for Edward to hand over to Nina. I believe that she, who has changed the future, will definitely be happier in the future. CC didn't speak, but just looked at Suyi in front of him. Eyebrows curved, only to hear CC look into Suyi's eyes and say, "Hey, Suyi, please give me more advice in the future." After finishing speaking, CC took the initiative to stretch out his finger, hooked Suyi's hand, and walked towards the shuttle passage. Feeling the lingering fingertips, Suyi looked at CC next to him with some weirdness. It's just that at this moment, the two of them didn't say much to each other. Back in his own world, Suyi saw the dumbfounded Hela, watching him there. Hela looked at Suyi with a face full of shock. "What kind of ability do you have? Is it similar to the Rainbow Bridge?" Hela knew that Suyi was definitely not an ordinary person. But she didn't expect that Suyi would have the ability similar to teleportation. This kind of ability is very rare. However, Suyi yawned and didn't answer Hela. Instead, he pointed to the kitchen next to Hela. "As a maid, shouldn't you be making breakfast now?" After hearing Suyi's words, Hela was taken aback immediately, but as the goddess of death, she immediately refused. "I definitely don't know how to cook, but if you are willing to cook for me, when I return to my peak, I can spare you." Hearing Hela's words, Suyi raised the corner of his mouth and smiled slightly. But in the next second, the topic changed. "In this case, then you are hungry, I will go to school to eat." After finishing speaking, Su laughed out loud, and walked directly into the garage. Hela, who watched, was dumbfounded. "Get out of the villa." Suyi took out his mobile phone and made a call to Jin Bin. "Jin Bin, prepare a ton of precious metal for me, and I'll get it in the afternoon." "Okay sir, leave this matter to me." Jin didn't ask even a single word. As Suyi's subordinate, he was already very satisfied with his back against the big tree of Suyi. Although he has ambitions, he also knows that his ability is enough to mess around on the earth. Compared to Suyi's horror, he is still willing to be a little brother. After ordering everything, Suyi drove his favorite Bugatti Veyron towards the school. At this time, he happened to see Natasha and walked out of the villa. Natasha naturally also saw Suyi. Stretching out her hand, Natasha greeted Suyi. "Good morning, Suyi." Natasha has not given up on the personality of the teacher. Wearing a charming uniform, he greeted Suyi very elegantly. Seeing this, Suyi stopped the car and responded politely. "Mr. Natasha, good morning." Natasha looked at Suyi in front of her. A trace of charm was drawn at the corner of her mouth. She is using her own advantage to lure Suyi's attention vaguely. As an agent, she has long been extremely familiar with her body. Know what to do to maximize your own charm. There is still some distance between the villa area and Midtown High School in Queens. It happened that I could get to know Suyi well in Suyi's car. But at this moment, Suyi's voice reached Natasha's ear. "Then, Teacher Natasha, I'll go first." After finishing speaking, Suyi was very straight, and drove out of Natasha's sight. This scene made Natasha completely dumbfounded. What's happening here? Logically speaking, shouldn't Suyi take advantage of the opportunity to invite himself into the car? Why did Suyi just drive away like this? Could it be that he met the legendary straight man of steel? A series of question marks emerged in Natasha's mind. What Natasha didn't know was that Suyi could let anyone get in the car, but he wouldn't let the agents get in the car. After all, it is too troublesome. Chat group. Suyi. Everyone, the task has been completed. I am raising a ton of precious metals. When the time comes, I will directly wrap it into a red envelope and send it to Edward. Suyi. Edward Elric, I will trouble you to take care of Nina when the time comes. Edward Elric. Don't worry, group leader, I'm going to send Nina to the countryside, where there is nothing to contend with, and my childhood sweetheart is also there, so I can definitely give Nina the best care. Now, Edward Elric has regarded the chat group as his other home. He could feel the warmth of the members inside. Especially the incident with Nina this time made him feel the warmth of being called home. Yuki Asuna. CC, there is no live broadcast this time. I wonder what you did in the past. Did you hold Suyi back? CC, hey, you care about Suyi so much, if you have a crush on him, just tell me. CC, but I didn't hold back or something. Instead, I took Suyi's hand. I have to say that Suyi's hand is very warm. I have never touched the hand of the opposite gender, and this is the first time. Yuki Asuna. Ah, you moron, you actually touched Suyi's hand. Yuki Asuna. You idiot, wait for me, I have already asked Xiao Hinata and the old man with a white beard about the profound meaning of taijutsu, and when I practice it, that is when I go to find you. Can you be sure to prepare me? CC. Okay, if you'd like to come over, I'll definitely entertain you. Edward Elric. Are you arguing? Or are you jealous here? CC. Rookie, it's better not to talk about this kind of thing, bad laugh, JPG. Yuki Asuna. So what if it's jealousy? Hinata. Peak, JPG. Hinata. Why isn't Grandpa Whitebeard here? It stands to reason that he's always in the water at this time. Yuki Asuna. Yes, during this period of time, the old man with the white beard is indeed the most powerful in the water group. CC. Maybe there's something wrong. Suyi. Don't worry too much, don't forget that the chat group has the function of calling for help, and in his world, there are very few people who can threaten Whitebeard. CC. Yeah, that's right. Yuki Asuna. Idiot, stay away from the group leader. Looking at the two girls in the chat group, at this moment, they started to speak harshly there again. Suyi couldn't help laughing out loud. Soon, Suyi also arrived at the school. Parked the Bugatti randomly in the school's parking space. Under everyone's gaze, he yawned and walked towards the school. The school seems to have a mysterious magic. As soon as Suyi came to the school, a feeling of drowsiness swept over him. But at this moment, a deafening sound came from a distance. Boom, boom, boom. This sound is very rhythmic, like a huge creature moving fast. Suyi looked along the voice, and only saw a green giant with exaggerated muscles. When Suyi saw this guy, his eyes lit up. Hulk, I didn't expect this guy to come out, it seems interesting. And as Suyi's voice fell, he also saw the dozen or so armed helicopters behind the Hulk. Roaring in the air, he chased after the Hulk. Not surprisingly, this scene should be the scene of the Hulk being hunted down. It's just that it may be because of his relationship that the original plot has deviated a little. So that the Hulk appeared in front of him. However, this is just right. Let him feel the power of Hulk. He is on fire. However, at this moment, a piercing scream sounded. The scream was like an arrow leaving the string. It directly pierced into Suyi's ear. Take your eyes off the Hulk for a moment as he hops around the building. Suyi looked in the direction of the sound. I saw a fair-skinned girl wearing a black frame, squatting on the ground and not daring to move. And above her head, there is a falling ceiling. Apparently it's because of the Hulk that the ceiling is collapsing. It's really troublesome. Suyi complained loudly, but when the words fell, his figure disappeared in place and ran towards the girl. He pretended to be an ordinary person as much as possible, but his speed was really terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the girl. And at this moment, the steel bars inside the ceiling could no longer withstand the drop of the ceiling. Accompanied by piercing sounds and countless dust falling. The ceiling fell directly from above. Seeing this scene, the girl felt as if she was completely shrouded in despair. But at this moment, Suyi's figure appeared in front of the girl. He carried the girl on his shoulders and ran outside. Wow, what followed was the sound of the ceiling falling to the ground. At the same time, Suyi complained, "Here, holding your head and squatting in defense, it's better to just run forward, it's really a waste of my time." The girl felt a powerful big hand wrapping around her waist, and her face was immediately rosy. But when she heard Suyi's words, she didn't know what to say for a while. I only heard the girl say, "Yes, I'm sorry, I was too scared just now." Forget it, it doesn't matter, it's good if you don't faint directly. Hearing Suyi's poisonous tongue, the girl opened her mouth to say something. But when the words came to his lips, somehow, they all turned into shyness. It's just that the girl looked at Suyi's face, and for some reason, the more she looked at it, the more she felt that Suyi looked familiar. But where she saw Suyi, the girl couldn't remember for a while. But just when the girl was about to ask, Suyi directly put the girl down. Okay, it's safe now, remember that next time you'd rather run forward as hard as you can, than stay where you are and crouch with your head in your arms. After speaking, Su Yi turned and left. At this moment, the whole city screamed one after another. The appearance of the Hulk caused panic among a large number of citizens. Coupled with the large amount of flames spewed by armed helicopters in the sky from time to time, it disrupted the rhythm of life of the people in an instant. He didn't find Su Yi in the black robe, and he didn't hide too much. According to Su Yi's speculation, S.H.I.E.L.D. should focus most of its attention on Tony Stark in the desert. Perhaps they are still investigating the trace of Whitebeard who has disappeared from the Marvel Universe. On the contrary, nowadays, there are not many resources spent on oneself. And it doesn't matter if it is discovered. At that time, it was just a little more troublesome. Thinking of this, Su Yi no longer hides too much. Directly followed the trail left by the Hulk, and quickly followed. In the sky, the gunship followed closely behind the Hulk. It's just that as time goes by, they find that the distance between the two is getting bigger and bigger. General Ross, the speed of the Hulk is getting faster and faster, and we are very likely to lose our target. The other side of the talking device. It was General Ross in the rear. General Ross's cold eyes were fixed on the big screen in front of him from beginning to end. Various data of the Hulk are being played on it. Unprecedented greed spread in his heart. He is even fantasizing now, how wonderful it would be if he could possess such terrifying power. But those guys tracking the Hulk are very likely to lose their target. This is something General Ross will never tolerate. Immediately, he said coldly, "If you lose your target, you don't have to stay with me any longer." Joke. For this Hulk, he paid a great price. He was responsible for the cost of damage to the city and the messy explanations that followed. If he couldn't catch the target, wouldn't all his efforts be in vain? But Hulk is getting faster and faster, and we're running low on fuel. That's your problem, not mine. If you can't do it, come back and wait for punishment. After speaking, General Ross turned off the communication device. However, at this moment, his expression had become extremely stagnant. If this time let the Hulk escape, it will definitely be very troublesome to find traces of him again. Therefore, no matter how much the price is paid, he will completely capture the Hulk. Immediately, General Ross picked up his military mobile phone and called Nick Fury. Soon, the call is connected. "Nick Fury, I need you to use your power and help me catch the Hulk." Nick Fury was a little silent when he heard General Ross's words, and did not reply to General Ross immediately. General Ross's mouth twitched. He knows that Nick Fury won't scatter eagles if he doesn't see a rabbit. But for the kind of power possessed by the Hulk, he is really yearning for it. I only heard General Ross take a deep breath, and said to Nick Fury, "As long as you can help me capture the Hulk, I am willing to work with you to study the power of the Hulk. But if we don't take action, you are very likely to fail to capture." Nick Fury has nothing against General Ross. The two of them fought openly and secretly for a long time. It can also be regarded as a win and lose for each other. This time, General Ross's desire was too strong. Nick Fury felt that he was so sorry for not taking the opportunity to make a fortune. General Ross also obviously understood what Nick Fury meant. He cursed viciously in his heart. Nick Fury is a real dog. If it was normal, General Ross would never let Nick Fury be so rampant. But he glanced at the big screen unwillingly. On the screen is the Hulk data they have calculated during this period of time. In an instant, the desire in his heart devoured General Ross's reason. I only heard General Ross say to Nick Fury, "All the technology developed by our army will be shared with you." In the hands of General Ross, there are many ruthless people. Nick Fury obviously didn't expect that General Ross was willing to pay such a high price for the Hulk. But this is enough to show General Ross's determination. "Since you are so generous, General Ross, I will naturally show my sincerity. Just wait for the good news." But at this moment, General Ross received an urgent call. Report, found suspicious traces approaching the Hulk quickly. And this urgent call, Nick Fury also heard it clearly. For a moment, the atmosphere in the space became very stagnant. "Suspicious trace. Do you know which organization it is from?" General Ross's tone became much more urgent. He immediately signaled to the people around him, and switched out the camera on the helicopter gunship. It's just that the gunships have been left behind a lot. Apart from being able to see a touch of green, there is nothing at all. It only increased the anxiety in General Ross's heart. Report, it seems that there is only one figure. What? There is only one figure. How is this possible? Who dares to confront the Hulk head-on? General Ross's voice raised a few notches. In his opinion, there is simply no one on Earth who is a match for the Hulk. But now someone said that there was a figure approaching quickly, how could he not be surprised? And Nick Fury also heard this information from General Ross. Immediately said, General Ross, since we are working together this time, let us SHIELD also contribute. Coulson, use the SHIELD satellites to locate the Hulk. At the same time, share the screen with General Ross. Yes, Chief. As Coulson's voice fell, the entire SHIELD began to function. But at this moment, Nick Fury saw Suyi through the SHIELD satellite. The originally calm pupils suddenly shrank. Without any hesitation, he directly hung up the communication with General Ross. After walking a few steps quickly, he laid his entire face on the display screen, carefully observing Suyi's movements. The more I watched, the more frightened I became. That's right, this guy is Suyi. Sure enough, he is not an ordinary person. Nick Fury's emotions were rarely agitated. Coulson, add information from SHIELD immediately, Suyi is that horror. Having said that, Nick Fury suddenly frowned. Because not long ago that terrifying guy appeared in the desert. Of course, the former desert has become an alpine area. But it also has a message for Nick Fury. These guys in black robes are most likely an organization. Since it is an organization, there must be regulations within the organization. From what I've seen so far, wearing black should be one of the rules. Before adding Natasha, I heard from Suyi's classmate Peter Parker that Suyi had fed many stray dogs before. Does it mean that Suyi is a very caring person? Thinking of this, Nick Fury felt more and more wrong. Could it be that I made a mistake? Thinking of this, Nick Fury said coldly, call me the surveillance in the city immediately. Soon, the monitoring was called out by Coulson. They only saw that Suyi rescued a girl under surveillance. Although he carried it directly, it also meant that he had a heart to save others. Totally different from that scary guy. You know, that scary guy is a fighting madman. There is no concept of life at all, how can it be possible to save people? That is to say, Suyi is indeed not an ordinary person, but he is not that terrifying guy either. Nick Fury felt very headache about this. If Suyi wasn't a member of that organization, then he would have to start the investigation from the beginning. But this is also a good thing. If Suyi is just an ordinary person, then he can try to absorb him into the Avengers. He's had this idea for a long time. It's been in his mind since he was an agent. It was only until now that I finally found the right candidate. The first is Tony Stark. The second one is the current Suyi. Just as Nick Fury was thinking of this, his cell phone rang again. Nick Fury, what happened? Why did you hang up on me? It's okay, General Ross. It's just an accidental hand slip. Don't worry about the Hulk. I've sent someone to deal with it. After a pause, Nick Fury said again, as for that figure, leave it to us, just wait for our good news. After speaking, Nick Fury hung up the phone again. At the same time, he also asked someone to turn off General Ross's shared screen over there. Watching the picture in front of him disappear, General Ross's expression remained unchanged. He doesn't know what drug is sold in Nick Fury's gourd, but as long as he can get the Hulk, then he doesn't care. And the other side, Suyi didn't know what Nick Fury was thinking. He turned on the video function in the chat group and started the live broadcast. The moment Sue turned on the video, members of the chat group poured in directly. Yuki Asuna. It's great, Suyi started the live broadcast again. I've already started gymnastics training, so I can just come here to gain some experience. CC. Allah, is Suyi going to fight again? CC. I wonder who Suyi's opponent is. Hinata. Brother Suyi, you must be careful. Edward Elric. Is this a live broadcast? It's the first time I've watched it. It's really amazing. Everyone is bubbling, but soon they discovered that there was no Whitebeard figure among them. CC. Strange, logically speaking, once the live broadcast starts, Whitebeard will be there. Yuki Asuna. Yes, there is no Whitebeard water group, and it seems that there is a lot less laughter in the group. Yuki Asuna. Mr. Whitebeard, what are you doing? Aren't you watching the live broadcast? And this time, Whitebeard finally came. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la. It seems that if I don't show up for a while, you will miss me very much. CC. No, we're just curious about what you're doing. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la. CC, you really have a poisonous tongue. I finally know what Yuki Asuna feels like. Yuki Asuna. Right, right, after I practice for a while, I will go to her world to teach her a lesson, and let her speak badly about us. CC. Smirk. JPG. CC. Actually, I can be more venomous, but I'm afraid you won't be able to bear it. CC. Come here, let's see how you teach me. Above the sea, Whitebeard looked at the lively conversation, and most of the haze in his heart was swept away. Whitebeard. Gu la 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 la. I have something to do these days, I'm busy, so I'll leave first. Let's talk when I have time. Whitebeard. Suyi. If there is anything difficult to solve, just call us. Whitebeard. It's just a little thing, it's not a problem at all, gurgling. After receiving Whitebeard's reply, Suyi didn't say much. Because at this time he has caught up with the Hulk. And the Hulk is also aware of his existence. Roar. The Hulk roared angrily, like a sonic attack, exploding in Suyi's ears. If it were an ordinary person, it would definitely cause tinnitus. Even bleeding from the 7 orifices is possible. It's just that the Hulk met Suyi. The corners of Suyi's mouth turned up, his eyes looked contemptuous, and he said softly, "Why are you yelling? I thought you had a loud voice, didn't you?" Suyi moved his wrist casually, and said to the Hulk, "Come on, let me see your strength, can you make me excited?" As Suyi's voice fell, a monstrous aura shot up from Suyi's body. The powerful coercion is mixed with a terrifying aura, like a Mount Tai, directly pressing on the Hulk. The Hulk obviously sensed the power threatening him from Suyi's aura. This undoubtedly hit the Hulk's nerve. Roar. The Hulk is like a gorilla, slapping his chest frantically. No more running away. Boundless rage enveloped the Hulk. Let him turn and rush towards Suyi. Shield. Nick Fury observed Suyi's battle through the satellite. At the same time, what he held in his hand was various data of Hulk. The more you look at the Hulk data in front of you, Nick Fury understands more and more why General Ross is willing to pay such a high price to capture the Hulk back. The most important thing is the power contained in the Hulk, it is too powerful. Corson, immediately send someone over to support Suyi. No matter what Suyi's status is, the most urgent thing is to subdue the Hulk first. When Nick Fury said this, he took a deep look at the screen and sighed. Suyi is absolutely impossible to be the Hulk's opponent. It's just that Nick Fury's words haven't finished yet. He saw that Suyi was not afraid at all when facing the Hulk's attack. It can even be said to be more than capable. Hulk punched, Suyi also punched. Fist against bang. But the Hulk he fought was retreating steadily. Nick Fury couldn't even believe his eyes at this time. In a secluded park in Queens, the battle between Suyi and the Hulk continues. Why do you have such weak fists like a girl? Or is your strength so weak? Roar. Suyi's words were like a sharp sword, slashing fiercely at Hulk's heart. Accompanied by a loud roar, resounding all around. Suddenly, a terrifying power erupted from Hulk's body. The imposing manner enveloped thousands of feet in radius. Countless birds in the park are flying together at this moment. Flying hard towards the outside of the park, as if avoiding some catastrophe. The muscles on the Hulk, who was completely enraged by Suyi, swelled several times again. Endless anger turned the Hulk into a hill-like existence. Suyi's body shape, in front of the Hulk, is like a child. Chat group members who are watching a video. Seeing the Hulk at this time, I felt like I was there, feeling unprecedented pressure. Yuki Asuna. This guy's coercion is so strong. I knew it was a video, but my body started to tremble. CC. Indeed, I have lived for such a long time, but this is the first time I have felt a guy with such terrifying power. This coercion. If ordinary people bear it directly, I am afraid that I will be scared to death directly. Edward Elric. Can the group leader really defeat that green guy? It feels like his strength has more than doubled. Edward Elric. If it were me, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to take a single punch from this guy. Hinata. Brother Suyi will be fine. I believe in Brother Suyi. just when the group members were feeling nervous about Su Yi. Su Yi yawned. I only heard Su Yi say softly. I said, why are you yelling so loudly, do you think you can defeat me now? Hulk seemed to have heard Su Yi's words. He was already furious, and there were countless on his forehead. I saw the Hulk clenched his right fist tightly, and countless vigor gathered towards his right fist. Call. In the blink of an eye, the Hulk was ejected, and a mound of dirt was instantly raised on the ground. The strong reaction force made the Hulk rush towards Su Yi like a huge missile. The fist has set off a strong fist wind. The fist wind is fierce. The space seemed to explode. Nick Fury saw the scene in front of him through the satellite, and murmured even more, Su Yi, it's over. Seeing the huge green figure about to hit Su Yi stretched out an arm. The arm looks slow, but it is as fast as lightning. The thumb and middle finger clasped together, just as Hulk's fist was about to hit him. Su Yi jumped out abruptly. Bang! The Hulk's face darkened, and the original furious emotions subsided in an instant. Instead, intense pain. Hulk's arm was broken inch by inch under Su Yi's blow. This is not over yet. The powerful force made the Hulk rush towards the distance at a faster speed than when he came. Bang bang bang. Hundreds of trees were broken one after another. Boom. It wasn't until the Hulk's body hit the wall 3,000 meters away that it barely stopped. At this moment, there was an unprecedented silence in the park. Everyone who saw this scene swallowed subconsciously. Edward Elric. Is this the power of the group leader? It's too powerful. Edward Elric. Should I say that the group leader deserves to be the group leader? Yuki Asuna. This is too strong. With just one finger, this Hulk was sent flying. When will I be able to reach this point? CC. I don't think this is Su Yi's full strength. Hinata. Anyway, brother Su Yi is the best. Star Eyes. JPG. CC. Yes, we all know that Xiao Hinata likes brother Su Yi the most. Hinata. Shame. JPG. Su Yi. As long as you work hard to develop your abilities and support each other, you will definitely be able to reach this level one day. After speaking, Su Yi turned off the live video. Leaving a group of members, let them think quietly there. And equally silent, there is S.H.I.E.L.D. At this time, no one in S.H.I.E.L.D. spoke. Looking at the picture in front of them, they felt as if a sea of waves had been set off in their hearts. The unparalleled shock left them at a loss for what to say. They only see in the picture. Bruce Banner withdrew from the form of the Hulk, his arms hanging miserably on one side, and he fainted. Su Yi yawned and walked towards the school. It looks like going to school to sleep. This strong sense of impact made them unable to recover for a long time. Corson, I read right just now, right? Su knocked the Hulk into the air with just a snap of his fingers. Nick Fury has not recovered yet. He watched Su Yi's replay just now, and only wondered if he was someone, and what did he do to his mind. But Coulson next to him brought Nick Fury back to reality. Director, you are not mistaken, just now. Su Yi indeed defeated the Hulk with a flick of his fingers. Woo. Nick Fury took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. In my impression, the only person who can possess such a powerful force is that terrifying guy, but now, Su Yi's body is full of doubts, and there is no way to determine his identity at all. As the king of agents, he upholds the principle that he would rather kill the wrong than let him go. But when this principle falls on Su Yi, it is very dangerous. It would be fine if Su Yi was that terrifying guy. It may be possible to get back the Captain Marvel pager that was previously stolen through other methods. When the time comes, let Captain Marvel come over to take care of Su Yi. But if Su Yi wasn't that terrifying guy, doing so would definitely arouse Su Yi's resentment. At that time, another enemy appeared out of thin air. Still such a powerful enemy. No matter how you think about it, this is what Nick Fury doesn't want to see. At this moment, Coulson said from the side, Director, according to the investigation these days, Su Yi may have the potential to be a hero. We may temporarily forget Su Yi's identity and invite him to join us. I think as long as we treat each other with courtesy, Su Yi won't make too many moves. After all, I think there is a big difference between Su Yi and that scary guy. As time goes by, Su Yi's identity will be revealed by himself. If Su Yi isn't that terrifying guy, maybe we can let Su Yi check and balance that guy. I don't know if the director thinks my method will work. Listening to Coulson's words, Nick Fury was also thinking about the feasibility of this method. However, doing so is somewhat risky. Now Bruce Banner has exited the Hulk form, let's capture the Hulk first. As for your suggestion, I need to think carefully. At this time, Su-Yi was walking towards the school. He received a message from Peter Parker. Su-Yi, where are you now? Are you hurt? The school asked us to gather in the auditorium and count the number of people. If you see the information, come here quickly. After closing the message, Su-Yi glanced at the missed call again. A full 12 missed calls, all from Peter Parker. He obviously only met in the past few days, but he regards himself as a friend. Should it be said that it is the future Spider-Man? Thinking of this, the corners of Su-Yi's mouth slightly raised. Fingers fly across the screen. Soon Su-Yi edited a text message and sent it back to Peter Parker. I'm fine, I just saw the message, I'll be right back. After sending, Su-Yi yawned again and walked towards the school. Really, why every time I think about school, I can't help feeling sleepy. The auditorium of Midtown High School can easily accommodate all current students. Also this time, one of the buildings that wasn't destroyed by the Hulk. With a responsibility, the teachers gathered the students here. Among them is Hannah. Hannah is the girl who was rescued by Su-Yi before. Although there is a pair of black frames on the bridge of the nose. But there is still no way to hide its own beauty. Known as the most beautiful school belle in history, she attracted the attention of countless people the moment she appeared in the auditorium. Among them was the attention of Harry Osborn. His eyes lit up when he saw Hannah walking into the auditorium. He had long heard of Hannah's stunning beauty, but had never seen it. Looking at it now, it really is. His fair skin was like a halo. Vermilion lips are pink and tender, and Chong's nose is tall and straight. There is water in the beautiful eyes. It is absolutely beautiful. Harry Osborn touched Peter Parker next to him, and said, Parker, I feel like my heart is about to jump out. Wait for me for a while. I'll strike up a conversation first, and I'll come to you later. Okay, I'll wait for you here. Peter Parker nodded, then watched Harry walk towards Hannah. Harry Osborn transferred to Midtown High School a long time ago. After coming to the school, his father, Norman Osborn, also came over to give a speech. And emphasized that Harry Osborn is his son. For a while, Harry Osborn was in the limelight. It's just that he went on a trip recently, and he just came back today. Therefore, when he walked towards Hannah, he also attracted the attention of many people. Look, that person is Harry. It seems that it is really him. Didn't you say that he went on a trip? Is this back? I really envy rich people. If you want to travel, you can travel. Looking at this guy's direction, it's not like he's planning to strike up a conversation with Hannah. I'll bet 50 cents Hannah's gonna say yes. You know Harry Osborn's father, but it's Norman Osborn, the local business tycoon. Everyone who saw Harry's actions was talking about it. Hearing the discussions from the people around him, Harry's vanity was satisfied. The whole person raised his chest slightly, looking more confident. He stood in front of Hannah, made a gentleman's salute very confidently, and said, Beauty, I'm Harry Osborn, and I really want to get to know you. Hannah is taken aback by the sudden presence of Harry Osborn. But when she saw that she was here to strike up a conversation, she couldn't help frowning slightly. Sorry, I don't want to know you. After speaking, Hannah walked in another direction. Many people watched the scene in front of them from beginning to end. Originally, they thought that Hannah, the beautiful school flower, would definitely fall. But they didn't expect Hannah to refuse directly. Didn't even hesitate. This made them exclaim in surprise. It caused quite a stir in the auditorium. Harry Osborn heard the group of guys too. A trace of anger flashed inadvertently in his eyes. No one has ever dared to deny himself. It seems that I have to show some of my strength. Thinking of this, Harry Osborn stopped in front of Hannah again. I saw him showing a smile that he thought was very charming. Wait a minute, Beauty, give me a chance to get to know each other. There will be a charity party tonight, and only the top richest people will have the opportunity to participate. If you want, I will drive my limited sports car right now and take you to buy high-end evening dresses. This is an opportunity to increase your experience. If you miss it, there will be no next time. Harry Osborn revealed his wealth inadvertently. In his opinion, no one can resist the temptation of limited edition sports cars and high-end evening dresses. But just when Harry Osborn thought Hannah would agree, but suddenly found that Hannah didn't seem to be listening to her own words at all. Instead, it's looking in another direction. Seeing this, Harry Osborn followed Hannah's gaze and looked towards the other entrance of the auditorium. All I saw was Suyi, who slowly walked in from the outside. There was some dust on Suyi's body. Although in the battle just now, he won easily. But the dust from the battle still settled on Suyi a little bit. It is this little dust that falls in Harry Osborn's eyes, that is a poor boy. Just before Harry Osborn could say anything, Hannah ran straight towards Suyi. This scene shocked many people. Who is that guy? The school belle just ran over like that. Good guy. Rejected rich and young Harry, but ran to a poor boy. This is simply too magical. Does Shalwa like this kind? The surrounding words can be said to be heartbreaking. It pierced Harry Osborn's heart mercilessly. This made him jealous, extremely jealous. Just when he was curious about Suyi's identity, Hannah has already come in front of Suyi. Thank you for saving me. If possible, I would like to have a meal with you tonight. Do you have time? Hannah's tone was a little hasty. There was a surge of anticipation in my heart. However, facing Hannah's expectations, Suyi didn't care. He glanced at Hannah in front of him, waved his hand casually. No time, I have a charity dinner tonight. Charity dinner? Just you? I'm afraid you're bragging. Do you have the qualifications? I think you are a poor boy. Let me tell you, pretending is not like that. I didn't remember that you were in the high society. From just now, Harry Osborn has been very upset seeing Suyi. He approached Hannah by himself, but Hannah ignored him at all. Instead, Hannah went to look for Suyi. Suyi ignored Hannah again. Isn't this saying that he is not as good as Suyi? He is a dignified young Master Osborn, and he will never swallow this breath. But at this moment, Suyi glanced at Harry Osborn next to him. Just a glance, Harry Osborn felt as if he saw a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The terrifying coercion fell heavily on Harry. The rampant subsided, replaced by endless terror. What? Hearing Harry scream, his whole body suddenly went limp, and he fell directly to the ground. The pants are even more wet. Harry's panic was reflected in everyone's eyes. They couldn't believe that Harry Osborn, the top rich and young man, would show such embarrassment, and burst into laughter immediately. But at this moment, Suyi snorted coldly, noisy. The words fall. The temperature in the auditorium seemed to drop a few degrees out of thin air. Everyone felt like they had fallen into a 1,000-year ice cellar. The bone-piercing cold instantly silenced the auditorium. Everyone stared at Suyi and walked towards the seat. No one speaks. No one dare to speak. And at this moment, Natasha walked into the auditorium. She immediately noticed Harry Osborn peeing his pants. But she didn't say anything more, but turned to look at Suyi not far away. Suyi, come out for a while, I have something to ask you, a rather special matter. Special, Suyi murmured softly. Without much hesitation, Suyi followed Natasha and walked outside. It wasn't until Suyi left the auditorium that everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't know how the coercion came from just now. But they definitely don't want to experience it again. As for Hannah, she was completely star-eyed. She just felt that Suyi's appearance just now made her really moved. She had never felt such throbbing before. In the corridor, Suyi looked at Natasha in front of him, and said, "Tell me, what special event?" Suyi, let me introduce myself again. I am Natasha, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Suyi frowned slightly, and then, seeing Su showing no surprise at all, Natasha was slightly shocked in her heart. However, as a top-secret agent, her professionalism is top-notch. Immediately said, our director plans to invite you to the S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau tonight. I wonder if you have time. Director, let me go to find him. Don't be kidding. If you are sincere, let him come to me in person. I have to attend a charity gala this afternoon. I don't have time to play house with you. After speaking, Suyi turned around and left. Natasha also conveyed Suyi's meaning to Nick Fury at this time. This time the charity gala was hosted by Tony Stark. All shareholders of Tony Stark can participate. But this time, Su-yi went to the charity gala as a shareholder. Soon, night will come. Su-yi left the school directly. After sleeping in school for nearly a day, he can be said to be full of energy. Don't mention how energetic the whole person is. But Su-yi didn't go to the charity party right away. Instead, he planned to take Hela with him. Go back to your own villa. Su-yi saw Hela lying on the sofa weakly. The whole person looked extremely weak. Seeing this scene, Su-yi couldn't help laughing out loud. Hela, you won't be so hungry all day long. There are so many top quality ingredients in the refrigerator. Hearing Su-yi's ridicule, Hela stood up. Hela, who was wearing Su-yi's clothes, inadvertently revealed an indescribable holy light. I will never cook because that doesn't fit my identity. Seeing such a strong Hela, Su-yi felt that the woman in front of him was still very cute. Okay, I'll find someone to prepare 100 sets of high-end evening dresses for you, and they will probably arrive in a while. You choose the one you like, and we'll have dinner tonight. Food. Hela's eyes suddenly lit up. Now that she has almost become an ordinary person, she was excited when she heard that there was food to eat and she didn't need to do it herself. Jumped off the sofa directly. At the same time, the doorbell rang outside. 100 high-end evening dresses were delivered. Immediately, Hela quickly picked out a set of her favorite black luxury evening dress. Pidian, together with Su-yi, got into Cullinan and drove towards Stark Industries building. Stark Industries building. At this time, all kinds of high-ranking people gathered together. They handed out invitations and entered the building. The building has been decked out for a charity gala. It can be said to be extremely luxurious. Pepper Potts, known as Pepper, even came to the party venue to entertain various celebrities. Opadri, one of the shareholders, personally went to pick up Tony Stark. However, because of the appearance of Su-yi, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts didn't know that Obadiah was the culprit who wanted to put Tony Stark to death. Tony Stark's home is now in danger. The reason why Obadiah played in person this time is because of the arc reactor on Tony Stark's chest. Unlike Tony Stark, who doesn't know. At this time, Su-yi was walking around the venue of the charity gala holding Hela's catkin. The venue is filled with all kinds of gourmet delicacies. In the form of self-help, for everyone to enjoy. Hela smelled the aroma of food in the air. She was so hungry that she couldn't wait. Su-yi, can I enjoy all these things as I please? He looked at Hela, who was like a greedy cat beside him. Su-yi couldn't help laughing and said, go and eat quickly, otherwise, I think you will be farther and farther away from Miss Yu. Hela didn't refute Su-yi this time. Because she was really very hungry. She was seriously injured and escaped from the seal. Without divine power, she was no different from an ordinary person. Only after the injuries in her body fully recovered, could she slowly recover her divine power. Taking lotus steps, Hela walked to the side of the food, where Hela ate there without any scruples. The food that was eaten was turned into energy and replenished into Hela's body. At this time, Pepper Potts came to Su-yi. Hello, is this Mr. Su-yi? Yes. Hello, Mr. Su-yi, I am Tony Stark's personal assistant. Tony said that if you come to the charity party, you must be treated well. Thank you for your unremitting support in the most difficult time for Stark Industries. Su-yi waved his hand casually upon hearing this. He knew that Tony Stark would definitely make a comeback before he would collect all the shares he could receive. Otherwise, who would want to be taken advantage of? I just did something I wanted to do, and I believe that Tony Stark will definitely be able to get Stark Industries back on track. After finishing speaking, Su-yi said again, by the way, when is Tony Stark coming? Now the second largest shareholder, Obadiah, has already driven to Tony Stark's residence in person, and he will come here soon if he thinks about it. Oh, yeah. With a smile on the corner of Su-yi's mouth, he didn't say much. After chatting with Xiaojiali for a while, he came to Hela's side again. How is it? Did you enjoy eating? Facing Su-yi's teasing, Hela, who had already eaten a lot, blushed immediately. The whole person is much more ladylike. Sister Yu's temperament has also returned a little. It's okay, but it's a little difficult for these things to please me. Hearing Hela's words, Su-yi reached out and picked up a dessert next to him. Digged it lightly with a spoon, then handed it to Hela's mouth, and said softly to Hela, "What about this?" Hela glanced at Suyi in surprise. She never expected that Suyi would actually make such a move. But the fragrance of the dessert turned into strands of seductive aroma, which penetrated into Hela's nose. Hela couldn't help but open her cherry lips, wanting to swallow the dessert. But at this moment, Suyi directly took the dessert away and ate it by himself. The aroma of dessert exploded in Suyi's mouth. He didn't care about Hela's resentful eyes. Suyi pinched Hela's delicate and pretty face, and said softly, "You eat here first, and go with Pepper Potts if you have anything to say. I have something to do right now, I'm going out for a while, and I'll be back to pick you up later." Hela gave Sue a blank look. It was a waste of her feelings just now. But the throbbing just now was the first time Hela emerged in her heart. Go, be safe. If Hela's father, Odin, heard Hela's words, his jaw would definitely drop in shock. You know, back then Hela was known as the goddess of death. Conquer the 9 realms. There are countless dead souls under him. As long as the title of the goddess of death is mentioned, the opponent can disarm and surrender. A goddess who is nothing but killing, at this moment, said such words. It can be seen that when Hela got along with Suyi, some changes have subtly occurred. Come out of the building. Suyi drove Cullinan towards Tony Stark's residence. Others don't know Obadiah's thoughts, but Suyi knows it clearly. As a shareholder of Stark Industries, if Tony Stark died, wouldn't he lose a lot of money? And when Suyi drove towards Tony Stark's residence, Tony Stark and Obadiah had already fought together. Different from the scene in the movie. Obadiah did not drive the Iron King, but wore the Mark III armor that was almost the same as Tony Stark. This is the technology that Obadiah stole from Tony Stark. After Obadiah's magic modification, although his Mark III armor's flexibility has been reduced, its combat effectiveness has been greatly improved. In addition, Obadiah just took off the second-generation arc reactor from Tony Stark's chest. As a result, Tony Stark can only use the first-generation version of the arc reactor. As the so-called generation god, the gap in energy alone cannot be made up by Tony Stark. In the dark night sky, splendid fireworks exploded from time to time. Occasional shooting stars across the sky, getting closer to the ground. Passers-by who were still a little curious about what was going on. As the battle location of the 2 steel suits got closer to the ground, they could be seen a little more clearly. I saw 2 Mark III armors with almost the same painting, chasing one after the other in the air. Tony Stark's face was covered with cold sweat. How much energy is left now? There are 9% left, and the flight time is up to 3 minutes. That fellow Obadiah actually wants to kill me. It's a shame I still trust him so much. Just as Tony Stark scolded Obadiah, Obadiah's voice came from behind Tony Stark. Tony, is my steel suit stronger than yours? Just wait to be killed by me. Ha 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 ha. At that time, I will completely replace your position, and then sell the steel suit to the whole world. The world will become my possession. Obadiah, if you stop your actions now, I can forgive you for what you did before. If not, don't regret it. Tony Stark almost gritted his teeth when he said this. Now he can't wait to eat Obadiah alive. It's just that the more Tony Stark is like this, the happier Obadiah is. Go to hell now, Tony Stark. As Obadiah's voice fell, Obadiah's back ejected out of the missile compartment, and the missile inside locked the direction of Tony Stark, and launched it instantly. In the blink of an eye, the missile is about to touch Tony Stark. Immediately increase the distance, don't affect the people below. No way, it's too late now. Tony Stark tried to fly upwards. But according to the arc of the missile, it is bound to hit the Rolls-Royce Cullinan ahead. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.